Chapter 2016, Long Phase Only Chance. Chapter 2016, Long Phase Only Chance. Suddenly, Li Yuanba was stunned. At this moment, the four scarlet demon flaming beasts attacked him from all sides, directly sending him flying. Boom! 100 meters away, a huge crater appeared on the surface of the mountain. God's Array Presbyter laughed. How is it? How did the scarlet demon flame beast taste like this? Let's see how many you can kill. No matter how many you kill, it will split into two. This was the terror of the scarlet demon flame beast. No matter how you kill him, he can still split up. The more he killed, the more he killed. In a violent beast formation, you have nowhere to run. In the deep pit, Li Yuanba touched his big bald head. There were no injuries on his body, and his mouth revealed an excited smile. Ha ha! He laughed loudly. His laughter was incomparably satisfied. He was laughing incomparably happily, because he had sensed his brother. They felt the spirit of the 8 King Kong's Yuling guardian warrior. He was indescribably happy. Li Yuanba stood in the deep pit and said, "No need." The heavenly spirit was also smiling. He was also smiling like a retard. After so long, they finally saw each other. "Brother Ba, what's going on? Were the formations set up by these people specially meant for you? Where's the boss?" Li Yuanba jumped out from the deep pit and said, "I'll tell you after I break the formation." Seeing Li Yuanba jump out from the deep pit, the God's Array Presbyter sneered. "You're not dead yet?" The idea moved. The red devil flame beast inside the magic array crazily charged forward. Li Yuanba's hands sank as he shouted, "You know how split weights, right? Then fight until you can't even distinguish your true body." Boom! With a push of his legs, a cloud of white smoke emerged from behind him, and he charged out. A small hole appeared on the ground. His speed was extremely fast, the limit of body technique. It was much faster than the scarlet demon flame beast. In a split second, it had already arrived in front of the beast. Bang, bang, bang. The crazy critical strike did not hit the vital parts, but instead chose to hit the joints. Bam! The thick joints of the beast's feet were fractured. Bam! His arm was broken. All the bones in his body had been broken, and he could not stand steadily. He was like a dead dog lying on the ground, gasping for air. He could not move at all. Li Yuanba roared out, "Divide, divide again for this father." F***CK, his grandmother. The 4 scarlet demon flame beasts were lying on the ground and could not move. If they were not dead, they would not be separated, and if they were not dead, they would not become stronger. If Li Yuanba did not kill them, they would not die. God's Array Presbyter's forehead turned sinister as he clenched his fists, causing cracking sounds to ring out. The elder next to him said lightly, "It seems that your violent beast array can't go crazy. A scarlet flame demon beast has been turned into this by you." Sigh. God's Array Presbyter's face turned sinister. He bellowed, "Humph." The elder laughed. "Sky Array, your plan is to capture Long Fei alive. Now that Long Fei is not here, and you can't even catch his subordinates. If the white-gowned oracle knows about this, I'm afraid." God's Array Presbyter's gaze darkened and said, "Elder Lu, I'm not feeling well, but you shouldn't be any better, right? It's all for the main temple. It's all for the sky god. No matter who gets ahead of Long Fei, they will be rewarded, and they might even get the qualification to be the main temple. Don't you want it?" Main temple. He was in the divine class. He had become a deity of 100,000 planes. Only the gods of the main temple were the true gods of the 100,000 planes. Although they had reached the deity stage, but they were not gods at all. They were merely the name of a realm. If one wanted to compete in universal large world, it was the same for gods. Lu Tianyu smiled faintly and said, "I do, but I only have one qualification to enter the main temple. If you go, I won't be able to go, and if I go, you won't be able to go either. So, I think it's better if you fail first. Then you lose the right to enter the main temple. Then, it's my turn to go on stage." "Ha!" Lu Tianyu laughed loudly, then turned and walked into the forest. Everyone had their own plans. Everyone wanted to enter the main temple's divine class and become the ruler of the 100,000 planes. However, if one wanted to obtain such qualifications, They would have to earn merits only in the battleground, or obtain rewards through some kind of special mission. For example, Long Fei's head, the people main temple wanted, and the people sky god wanted. If he could get Long Fei's head, then he could definitely get this special qualification. God's Array Presbyter was very clear about this in his heart, which was why he was able to talk about his plan directly to the white-robed oracle through the legend Palace Mistress. However, 2 consecutive array formations failed to stop Li Yuanba. This made him uncertain. Li Yuanba's strength had exceeded his expectations. This was far beyond his expectations. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A loud noise came from the valley as the formation shattered. A servant quickly returned and said, "Sir, the violent beast formation has been broken again. What should we do now?" God's Array Presbyter's eyes turned sinister. He looked at the direction Lu Tianyu disappeared in and shouted, "I have not failed. I have not lost. The qualifications is mine. No one can take it away from me." In that instant, God's Array Presbyter disappeared from the sky. The 3rd formation, no one can break it. Night King Valley, Ziyu's residence. Wang Tai stood guard in front of the sarcophagus, his eyes still. Ziyu also sat to the side, her eyes dazed. Her mind was blank. She was very afraid of this feeling. It was like his brain had stopped working. She didn't know if Li Yuanba could bring the antidote back, but there wasn't much time left for Long Fei. If he couldn't bring the antidote back in time, he would die. If that was the case, even if Li Yuanba found the poison monster, if he was unable to refine it, then there were the people from the Night King Valley. Her small courtyard was surrounded by people, and they would not be able to escape. If something happened, Ziyu became slightly worried. Inside the coffin, in Long Fei's sea of consciousness, his mind was completely locked, just like a vegetable, unable to move, but Long Fei did not give up. He had been working hard for a long time. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more, just a little more. Rumble. The dragon-shaped mark flashed with a silver light. It was also at this moment. Long Fei also instantly sensed the existence of the system. Like lightning, he quickly shouted in his heart, "Activate Dragon Coffin, enter cultivation mode." Martial arts training. Fate was always in his hands. This was the only way to be at ease. Entering the foreign battlefield, there were steel armor beasts everywhere. The moment Long Fei entered the foreign battlefield, his sea of consciousness fiercely closed, and the system once again disappeared from his senses. It closed. Mind lost in ig poison seemed to separate his consciousness from his body. It wasn't easy for him to seize the opportunity to enter here, and this was also the only place Long Fei could go. This is my only chance. Chapter 2017, Vajra Body. Chapter 2017, Vajra Body Buzz. Outside the fairy grass valley, a buzz sounded. Another formation was activated. On a hillside, Lu Tianyu smiled faintly and said, "This is his last chance." The first 2 formations were easily broken. I don't think this 3rd formation will last long. Brother Lu, it's time for us to make an appearance. A white-haired old man said while laughing. Lu Tianyu said, "No rush, let's slowly watch." The white-haired elder smiled and said casually, "Why don't you tell me the palace master and the few great elders are here? Don't tell me that they do not want to enter the main temple and become part of the divine class." Hall Master did not give too many instructions on this matter. Even if the white-robed oracle appeared, he didn't say too much. It was very strange. If the Hall Master were to make a move, then what did they have to do? Lu Tianyu said. Who wouldn't want to? But in front of main temple, Hall Master could only weakly kneel on the ground. Crown Prince's Death Hall Master himself already had a heavy responsibility to blame for it. He probably did not take action because he wanted to make the final move. After all, if we failed, then we would be able to display his might. But I will never fail. He had absolute confidence. At this time, a disciple quietly landed and said, "Master, our people have already entered the fairy grass valley, and there is also news from there. As long as you give the order, we will immediately behead Long Fei." "All right." Lu Tianyu laughed and said, "Tell the people from the Night King Valley that they need to capture him alive, so I want him alive. Even if he dies, I need a complete corpse. Yes, sir. This subordinate will immediately do it. The disciple quickly left. The white-haired old man at the side was slightly startled. I only know that you sent people to Fairy Grass Valley, but I didn't know that you had people there. Lu Tianyu laughed and said, grab with both hands. Both of your hands must be tough. Even if you fail here, Long Fei's life is still in my hands. The white-haired old man asked in confusion. The people of Night King Valley are Queen Night. They hate us extremely. Why would there be people? Lu Tianyu laughed faintly. A wise man knows when to stop. This world is the world of the powerhouse. Night King Valley? Right now, you can't even compare to a second-rate family who would still work for him. Moreover, Night King has fallen. So the current Night King Valley is just like a pile of loose sand who doesn't want to plan for the future. This was the status quo. When a Night King perished, the Night King Valley lost their leader. Furthermore, the power of the Night King Valley was gradually waning. The Night King clan could no longer hold on. Boom! Another loud sound rang out. Lu Tianyu laughed. The third array formation has begun. Let's watch from the sidelines. 1,000 illusionary killing array. You think this formation cannot be broken through, and I will absolutely not allow you to break through it. The voice of the god's array presbyter resounded in the sky. The entire formation was just like a different world. It was ethereal, and at the same time, it was filled with killing intent. In a short moment, several wounds had appeared on Li Yuanba's body. Every shadow was an illusion. Li Yuanba continued to attack, but his fists were only hitting the illusions. After a few consecutive attempts, more than a few wounds appeared on Li Yuanba's body. Moreover, he was simply unable to determine the direction within the array. If he didn't break the array, he wouldn't be able to leave. Brother Ba, do you want me to make a move? The sky spirit seemed eager and impatient. Li Yuanba did not say anything, but suddenly sat cross-legged. Wong! A thick stream of pure energy shot out from his body and wrapped around him. The sky spirit grinned and said, there's no hope. I wanted to tickle my hands, but it seems like there's no hope. The heavenly spirit grumbled with its little mouth, then turned and disappeared. I want to see who has the guts to come here and behave so atrociously. He felt that there were a lot of people sneaking into the Fairgrass Valley. Is sitting cross-legged useful? God's array presbyter shouted, and the idea began to move. The power of thousands of shadows surged as a series of large blade-wielding shadow assassins appeared in the air, fiercely slashing towards the top of Li Yuanba's head. In that instant, he felt as if Li Yuanba was surrounded by thousands of people. Boundless killing intent. Furthermore, there was not the slightest trace of life. This was not something that could be killed by relying on one's strength, because these phantoms were all intangible. No matter how you kill it, it's useless. Die. You won't be able to break through the 1,000 illusionary array. The god's array presbyter revealed a complacent smile. He was in the eye of the formation, with his idea as the shadow. Every single idea was filled with killing intent. 1,000 idea, 1,000 killing intents. Li Yuanba was unable to break through the formation. On the hillside, looks like the heavenly array is about to succeed. The white-haired old man said. Lu Tianyu also laughed faintly. So what? Even if this Luby dies, the heaven formation is only helping me, because the person main temple wants is Long Fei, not this Luby. He did not care whose hands Li Yuanba died in. It doesn't matter if he doesn't die. It was even better if he died. He didn't care at all, since the reason he was here was to wait for Long Fei. Then he didn't care at all. Thousands of shadows fell down. Under these circumstances, even Powerhouse at the peak of Middle God would die. Could Li Yuanba not block it? The invisible force was crushed. Also at that moment, Li Yuanba's eyes opened wide in anger. The figure of a raging Buddha of Vajra suddenly superimposed over his body. King Kong, diamond physique. Just like the angry Buddha from ancient times, his pupils had turned golden. At this moment, he moved through the void and arrived before the formation within 1/10 of a second. 1,000 shadows killing intent all failed. God's array presbyter trembled. Looking at Li Yuanba, who was covered in golden light in front of him, his heart felt cold. Yu, not waiting for him to finish, Li Yuanba punched out. Boom! The formation aperture shattered. God's array presbyter's punch was instantly killed. He had no ability to resist, nor did he have the power to resist. A human died, and the formation was broken, and in that instant, Li Yuanba's body recovered. However, his body became extremely weak, and all the profound qi in his body seemed to have been sucked out. Hoo. Li Yuanba gasped for breath. His heart was also chilled. The diamond body is really unbearable. That power! It was as if his own profound qi had been mutated in the blink of an eye, just like his genes were mutated. His entire person had changed. However, according to the King of Hell, this King of Hell's physique was the source of power for their 8 King Kong. Amongst the 8 King Kong, only Li Yuanba was able to bear it slightly, since the others were simply unable to. If it were not for the fact that he could not think of a way, Li Yuanba would not have used it. Broken array? What kind of power was that? Lu Tianyu was shocked. At this moment, a disciple ran over anxiously. Master, all the people that entered the fairy grass valley have disappeared. Lu Tianyu's brows tightened, and without the slightest hesitation, he said, Go, immediately go to Night King Valley. Chapter 2018, 9 Hells. Chapter 2018, 9 Hells what? The boss was poisoned? Who wants to die so much? The sky spirit was instantly enraged. Inside Fairy Grass Valley, the poison monster circled around Li Yuanba's body again and again, his face full of excitement, as if he was looking at a treasure. From time to time, he would pinch it. Following that was another burst of excitement. Good figure, inborn divine strength. It's immune to poisons. If I could become my experimental subject, it's really... Before he could finish his words, the Holy Spirit stared at him. Say that again. The sky spirit was angry. The poison monster wanted to use Li Yuanba as a test subject. Wasn't this like smashing into a wall of spears? Poison monster immediately smiled apologetically. I'm finished. Don't be serious. Don't be too serious. He did not dare to offend the sky spirit, because, initially, bringing the heavenly spirit back to the fairy grass valley was the most wrong decision for him in his entire life, because the heavenly spirit was about to go crazy. Not human, not demon, not ghost. It was a death sentence. No matter what kind of poison he concocted, it wouldn't harm even the slightest bit of his jinchi. He was simply a freak. Now, an abnormal feeling appeared in front of him. He had the same feeling when it came to Li Yuanba, especially when he released that move from the 10,000 illusionary killing array. He looked at everyone. Li Yuanba looked at Poison Monster and asked, Who is he? Tian Ling said, Poison Monster, although I said I'm a poison refiner. It's useless. If it wasn't for the fact that I want to stay and wait for my boss, I wouldn't even bother to stay here. Li Yuanba looked at Poison Monster and immediately asked, Can you refine the antidote for the mind-lostenic poison? Mind-lostenic poison? The poison made by the sky god? Poison Monster frowned. The sky spirit was stunned. Big bro boss was hit by the heart-devouring poison? Li Yuanba nodded his head. Yes, we have already dragged it out for 4 days. I am worried that boss won't be able to hold on much longer and must obtain the antidote as soon as possible. Then, the heavenly spirit grabbed Poison Monster's clothes and shouted, Can you refine it? He understood now. No wonder when they sneaked into the fairy grass valley, their goal was to kill the Poison Monster and prevent Li Yuanba from getting the antidote. Poison Monster was lifted up into the air like a little chick by the small heavenly spirit. If it had been someone else, that person would have died long ago. But in front of the Holy Spirit, the Poison Monster did not have the slightest temper. His face was filled with fear as he said lightly, It's a little difficult. Don't tell me it's difficult. Since I found you, you must have a method. I do not care what method you use. You must refine the antidote for me. The spirits don't care so much. The life of the boss was more important than anyone else's. Li Yuanba said, If you have any difficulties, feel free to speak. Li Yuanba was the same. If he could not get the antidote, Long Fei was really... The poison monster frowned. The mind-lost in poison can be said to be the number one poison in the ancient divine war. He was specially created by the sky god, and every time is different. If you want to refine the antidote, you need to find a formula for the poison in order to break it, but don't talk nonsense with Lousy. Just tell me if you can refine it. The sky spirit shouted. Li Yuanba's heart tightened. Poison monster clenched his teeth and said, I can only say that I will try my best. I can't do that. I have to make it. His tone was like he was on fire. Li Yuanba asked, How long will it take to refine the antidote? Poison monster said, It will take at least 3 days. No way. There's no time. Li Yuanba asked, Is there any other way? Long Fei wouldn't last 3 days. In 3 days of time, Long Fei's mind, consciousness had already died. Moreover, under these circumstances, Long Fei was simply unable to enter hell. Even if his father was the king of hell, he wouldn't be able to help. The poison monster said, 3 days is already the limit. If you want to be faster, then you only have one way, to ask the sky god for the antidote. He made the poison. He definitely has the antidote. The heavenly spirit immediately asked, Where is sky god? Poison monster was stunned. He had only said that casually. What kind of existence was the sky god? Becoming a god, a true god. He killed his son, yet he still asked for the antidote. Wasn't he courting death? Poison monster said, Main temple, or perhaps battleground, is in these 2 places. Without saying a word, the sky spirit said, Big brother Ba, I'll go look for sky god to get the antidote. You go to boss side. With that, he turned to leave. However, Li Yuanba pulled him back and said, Do you know where the main temple is? Do you know how the battleground is going to get in? The sky spirit was stunned. He didn't know. He was too anxious to think about it. In 3 days, the boss was dead. Spirit lowered his head. Then what do? We have to do something, don't we? Following which, the heavenly spirit looked at Poison Monster. Poison Monster's body trembled slightly as he continuously retreated, saying, I really have no way, unless. A bright light flashed. Poison Monster thought of something and immediately said, Unless you can find the spiritual immortal grass. It can cure all poisons. It's also the number 1 divine herb of the ancient god battle. Li Yuanba immediately took a step forward. Where is the spiritual immortal grass? Poison Monster hesitated. The sky spirit formed claws with his hands and tore through the air. The tip of his long nails was covered in the highest mysteries of the ghost vein art, as well as the power of death and decay. Poison Monster had seen this terrifying power before, so she immediately said, It's in the Fairy Grass Valley, in the hell of Fairy Grass Valley's 9th level, but not waiting for him to finish. With a flash of his spirit, he disappeared into the cave. Li Yuanba tightened his grip on her. Poison Monster was stunned on the spot and said loudly, I'm not finished yet. There's a kind of terrifying hell beast inside. It's useless even if you guys go. Sigh, even if I said it, I wouldn't listen. You guys will be able to escape soon. Poison Monster muttered. The spiritual treasures of heaven and earth usually have guard divine beastess. The better the item, the stronger the guardian beast. The 9 levels of hell beneath the Fairy Grass Valley is just a way of putting it, but it was like hell inside, each level more dangerous than the last. However, in order to save Long Fei, Li Yuanba and the heavenly spirit realm would not care so much. There was no one more important than Long Fei's life, not even their own. In another place, Dragon Coffin Cultivation World, Alien Battlefield. The Yama edge in Long Fei's hands slaughtered wildly. Standing on the peak, he panted as if his body was about to fall apart. 1,732 heads. 8,268 more left. 100 million experience points. Kill all these 10,000 steel armor beasts. My level will skyrocket. Upgrade. No matter how powerful the poison is, it's useless against me. It was as if he had been revived. Any binding will end. However, Long Fei was in the Dragon Coffin's cultivation world, so this was his only chance. If he failed, he would not have the slightest bit of power to activate the system, and would not be able to enter the cultivation world. His only chance. My life is not up to me. Long Fei roared out, "Come then, young master. The people from the Legend Palace are almost here. Should we make a move in advance?" Chapter 2019, Tomb of Night King, God of Slaughter by Qi. Chapter 2019, Tomb of Night King, God of Slaughter by Qi. The people of Legend Palace were rushing towards there. If he could take Long Fei down before them, it would be a great merit. To be able to get the help of the Legend Palace, Tian Yuan slightly narrowed his eyes. My Tian family has worked as a horse for the Yi Wang family for dozens of years. And after all, we will only be a great elder. When will we become the true master of the Night King Valley? Today, as long as I capture Long Fei, with the help of the Legend Palace's forces, I can become the new Night King of the Night King Valley. To control 3,000 assassins and then enter the battleground, to seize the highest achievement and become number one under the sovereign realm. Revive the glory of Night King Valley. That's not right. It should be the glory of my clan. Tian Yuan said excitedly as the image of Ziyu's peerlessly beautiful face appeared in his mind. He still wasn't dead from Ziyu's heart, and he loved Ziyu, so he similarly hated her. Love to the bone, hate to the bone. If he couldn't get her, he would destroy her. If he got her, he would destroy her. Young master, then we... The corner of Tian Yuan's mouth curled up as he said in a deep voice, "Have our people wait. They will attack as soon as the sky turns dark. Remember, you must be quick. You absolutely cannot give others a chance to react." He knew very well. His father would never make a move against Ziyu, because she was the young valley master of the Night King Valley, and also the last person of a Night King clan. If he didn't take down Ziyu at lightning speed, then his father would very likely interfere. At that time, it would be even more impossible to complete his grand plan. As for Li Yuanba taking back the antidote, Tian Yuan did not care about it, because even if he could get the antidote back, he would not be able to come back. Understood. I'll arrange it right away. Tian Yuan looked into the distance and said indifferently, "Ziyu, you are mine. You will always be mine to die. Even if it means death, you will still be mine." Tian Yuan. Night King Valley Meeting Room. Grand Elder, it's the second day. Just now, I had someone sense that the sparrow riding the luby was already dead. From the looks of it, he won't be able to come back either. Many elders looked at destiny. This was an extraordinary time, and it was time to make a choice. No one wanted to die, but if they continued to protect them, the people of Night King Valley would die. Heaven's mandate was very clear on what they wanted to say. He said, slightly, "An agreement is an agreement. No matter what happens within the next 3 days, we will take good care of them." Great Elder, what are we plotting? The Night King's clan has already fallen. Is there a need to take the lives of all of us to protect them? Exactly. I received the news. A large group of experts from Legend Palace are rushing towards the direction of the Night King Valley. There's no doubt that they are here for Long Fei. We can't resist at all. Great Elder, what era is it now? The current Night King Valley is already dead in name. We should think for ourselves. Many elders began to persuade him. The Night King Valley was simply unable to contend against the Legend Palace. Furthermore, the Legend Palace was still the main temple behind the scenes, so how could he be an opponent for the both of them? Not at all. If he let Ziyu and Long Fei stay in the valley, the Night King Valley's blood would flow like a river. Heaven's mandate trembled between his brows and said with a deep voice, "We are all members of the Night King clan. If we are here, the Night King clan will still be here. No matter what happens, no one is allowed to touch Ziyu within 3 days." This was a promise between him and Ziyu. It was also a promise between him and himself. To be able to save Long Fei within 3 days was the choice of the heavens. He would stand by Ziyu's side without hesitation. If Long Fei did not wake up within 3 days, then, even if he wanted to support Ziyu, the rest of the Night King Valley would probably make a move as well. With a loud shout from Heaven's mandate, all of the elders shivered, showing fear. Heaven's mandate was the most important powerhouse out of all of Night King Valley. He was too angry to say anything more. Off! Cold sweat broke out on Ziyu's forehead. She had heard everything that had just happened in the meeting room. Other than the nether slave and her dead father, no one else knew about the heaven listening technique. Wang Tai saw her expression change slightly and came forward and asked, "What happened?" Ziyu calmly replied, "It's nothing much. I'm just worried. The people of Night King Valley will make their move against us." Even though he was destined to crush everything. However, she was very clear about the people from the Night King Valley. Heaven's mandate alone was not enough. Wang Tai's brows tightened and said, "Is this place safe?" Ziyu turned around and looked at the giant spirit coffin, saying, "We have to think of a way to move. We have to wait for the big guy to come back." Wang Tai asked, "How do I move?" "The courtyard is surrounded by people. It's fine for the two of us to move, but there's still the boss. This is going to be difficult. Carrying a huge coffin that weighed over 10,000 jin? Others weren't blind. Furthermore, they weren't Li Yuanba. Li Yuanba had an inborn divine strength to carry 10,000 kilograms worth of pipes as if he was a normal person. Ziyu said, "Carry the coffin and let's go inside." Wang Tai trembled slightly. Ziyu said, "My room has a secret passage. This passage leads directly to my father's coffin hall." No one knew this secret except her. Only she knew where her father was buried. That place was also the forbidden area of the Night King Valley. Right now, Ziyu couldn't care so much. She already had no other choice. Long Fei had to live, and only if he lived would he have the chance to refine the 9 steps yang reversion pill and be able to revive her father. As long as his father revived, everyone in Night King Valley would be suppressed. Everything depended on Long Fei being alive. There was hope for Long Fei. Wang Tai carried the huge stone coffin into the room. The aura coming from Ziyu's body formed a force. With a slight movement, a mural began to slowly release its power like flowing water. The mural moved and slowly twisted, as if a teleportation gate had appeared. Ziyu said, "Go in." The two of them carried the coffin into the mural. The mural returned to normal. Wang Tai felt his vision go black, and he instantly appeared on top of a straight path. The torches on both sides of the path automatically ignited, going all the way to the deepest part. In the deepest part of the mountain was a mountain that floated in the air. There were all sorts of white coffins on the hillside that were densely packed. The one on the top was the largest and had strange engravings on it. Its entire body was glowing with a fluorescent light. The entire hillside was painted white. This is the tomb of Night King. The one at the top is the first Night King. The rest are all previous Night Kings. The one at the bottom is my father's coffin. Ziyu's eyes narrowed as she looked at the white coffin. Wang Tai was shocked. At the same time, the spirit god among the giant spirit coffin opened his eyes slightly. "It's a land of wind and water. There's actually such a place?" Long Fei, who was inside the training space. His entire body was covered in blood, but at this moment, a white figure suddenly appeared in his world. God of Slaughter. Bai Qi. Chapter 2020. Female Emperor Jojo. Chapter 2020. Female Emperor Jojo buzz. A buzz sounded in the sky above main temple. The sky shook. It felt like a crack had appeared. Immediately, all the gods of the entire main temple flew out, and every single one of them had incomparably shocked expressions as they looked towards the sky, where a rumbling sound could be heard. What happened? Did the battleground lose? Why would the void above main temple emit a sound? The abnormal sound was still above the main temple, which meant that something extremely unsettled had happened. Or the battleground would lose. Or it was the crack that appeared in the power of law that they controlled. No matter which one it was, they would all feel a great unease. A crack in the laws, in other words, a single law could collapse at any moment. This was because there was someone that surpassed the power of the law that they controlled. And then again, there was another possibility in this type of law rift, and that was that it was a bad omen. Very quickly, someone said, "Battleground is peaceful, and there were no losses. Evil God army is completely hidden away." then there's only one possibility. Law Rift. One of the deities frowned and asked, "Who is it? Whose law energy is fluctuating?" All the gods shook their heads, sensing the power of the law they were controlling. They all shook their heads. "No, not at all. Our power doesn't fluctuate at all." An ominous sign? What could it be? Everyone was puzzled. Although they were gods who controlled over 100,000 planes, a law rift like this had never happened before. They had been in control of 100,000 planes for countless years. How could there be a bad omen? Buzz! Another loud sound rang out. An enormous, illusory figure appeared in the air. Upon seeing that, all the gods immediately kneeled down. "Lord God, shadow of main god." The sovereign said slightly, "The source of the commotion is the Night King Valley. Send someone to immediately investigate what is happening in the Night King Valley." Sovereigns were 100,000 chief sovereigns. However, there were some things that he couldn't see, so he could only determine the location. What did such an ominous sign mean? He didn't know. And then Sky God walked forward and said, "Lord God, I am willing to go." The sovereign said, "All right, we must investigate this clearly. No matter what, give it to me." He hesitated. Night King Valley. He was once the first Night King, and also his brother, his best brother. He clearly could have chosen to enter the main temple to obtain the highest honor. But, however, he chose to stay in the Ancient Gods' War and slowly died in the Ancient Gods' War. Why? He had never been able to answer this question. He could have been more than 10,000 people, but now he was just an ordinary person. There must be a problem, but he was still his brother. So many years had passed. The shadow of main god continued. No matter what happens, get rid of it immediately, uproot it, and pull it up by the roots. He would not allow any power to affect his territory. He was the controller of the 100,000 planes of existence. He used to be, is, and will be. No one, not even his former best brother, was allowed to. The gods were slightly startled. It had to be known that in their hearts, Night King Valley was a place that could not be invaded because of the relationship between sovereigns. But now, a sovereign actually gave the order to purge the area. Sky God said excitedly, "This subordinate understands." And then, the shadow of main god disappeared. All gods stood up, and one of the gods laughed in disdain. Mortals are still mortals after all. Back then, choosing to become mortal was already destined to be vastly different from us. Night King. Haha. I'm afraid the corpses have already turned into a pile of dirt. Haha. The former Night King has limitless glory. What about now? Although we were on the same side back then, Night King has never put us in his eyes. Sky God, this time you're representing the main temple. You must take revenge for the anger you suffered before. Pull the Night King Valley out of its roots, and the Night King will disappear forever. Ha ha, ha ha. The gods laughed proudly. They are gods. They were supreme deities of the 100,000 planes. Mortal? It was just an ant. Even back then, the over-god of killers was nothing more than an ant in their eyes. In another place, God's Mountain, Zhan Wushuang opened his eyes, and a smile appeared on his face as he said, "Not bad. I have already comprehended the cultivation process of the soul controlling." The destiny god under the black robe faintly smiled and said, "The soul controlling is the supreme law of the 100,000 realms. If you can cultivate it to its peak and combine the power of the other laws with you, you will become the most powerhouse of the 100,000 realms. Even sovereigns aren't a match for you." Zhan Wushuang's eyes flashed with a trace of light. "Ha ha, ha ha." He laughed loudly. Zhan Wushuang looked at Destiny God. Currently, he only had one soul left in Destiny God, and it was also the soul of the god's holy sword that was hidden. It was extremely pitiful. Zhan Wushuang laughed and said, "Why are you helping me?" Destiny God said, "Very simple. I want Long Fei dead." Zhan Wushuang laughed and said, "He will die very soon." At this moment, a voice came from outside the secret room. "Lord," a strange noise came from above main temple. The sovereign sent Sky God to Night King Valley, probably to eliminate the power of Night King Valley. Huh? Zhan Wushuang's brows shook. We are finally going to make a move on the Night King Valley. Seems like the sovereigns are also like us, cold-blooded and emotionless. Ah. Destiny God looked at him and asked, "What do you think?" The corner of Zhang Wushuang's mouth lifted slightly and said, "Long Fei has been afflicted with a strange poison, but I still think Long Fei will win, but this is a great thing for me. You just said that you need a strong soul to cultivate the soul controlling. How is Sky God's soul? How is the Sky principle?" Haha. Zhang Wushuang laughed sinisterly. Destiny God shivered and asked, "What about Long Fei?" Zhang Wushuang laughed. "My people should be arriving soon. Even if Long Fei doesn't die, he will still be in pain for half a life, killing his own woman with his own hands. This kind of pain should be very satisfying, right?" Destiny God shivered again as he realized that his understanding of Zhang Wushuang was just too little. He was an extremely ambitious person, and similarly, he was also a person with exceptional talent. Such a person was like a demon. However, he liked it. As long as he could deal with Long Fei, he was willing to pay a price. Moreover, the reason he found Zhang Wushuang wasn't just for Long Fei. On the other side of Night King Valley, the silhouette of a woman descended. Her eyes were cold and filled with hatred. Phoenix Emperor, Jojo. Chapter 2021, Killing Principle. Chapter 2021, Killing Principle Dragon Coffin Cultivation World. White clothes, white shadow. Very strange. It was extremely strange. One must know that this was the world of Dragon Coffin, the world of main artifact. However, just when Long Fei wanted to ask the huge dragon what was going on, the huge dragon suddenly disappeared. The mystery was gone. Long Fei became even more suspicious. What the hell? Not only that, when the giant dragon disappeared, the steel armor beast at the bottom of the mountain all stood still, as if they had learned their spell. Time is still? Impossible. Although Long Fei had not grasped the laws of time, he had still cultivated in the power of time reset. It was not that time had stopped, but he had been restricted by some kind of powerful force. White shadow. Long Fei raised his eyes. "Who are you?" The white silhouette smiled and said, "We have finally met." Long Fei said, "What's finally? Are you waiting for me? Or have we met before?" The white shadow said, "None." Long Fei said, "Then what are you waiting for me for? I don't owe you money, do I?" The white shadow laughed. "I naturally have something important to do with waiting for you. As for whether or not you owe me money." Without waiting for the white silhouette to finish speaking, Long Fei immediately said, "If you want money, you don't have one." He really didn't have any money. Buying said, "I owe you." Huh, haha. Long Fei immediately laughed. "You owe me money that you haven't even met? Are you stupid? Or do you think I'm stupid? If you have anything to say, just say it. I'm busy." Long Fei used the advantage of his location to kill more than 3,700 steel armor beasts. If this was converted into experience, it would be 370 billion. He was still short of 6,000 or so. Even if he cleared the dungeon, he would still be able to obtain the system reward. Furthermore, the most critical thing was that he had 1,000,000,000,000 experience to level up and fly. This way, his body would be able to completely break away from the mind-lostenic poison. White Shadow said, "I owe your mother my life." As soon as he finished, Long Fei was startled. "Who are you? Why do you owe my mother her life? You don't belong to the same world, do you?" Long Fei did not recognize the White Shadow. Furthermore, from his appearance, it seemed that he was a person from an older era. How could such a person be related to his mother? Could it be another plane? How strong was Long Fei's mother? Long Fei was completely unaware of it. His knowledge of his mother was probably limited to the laws of time. Then, mother must be a great beauty. He was also someone from the ancient Mu clan. That's it. What era was Bai Qi from? Hundreds of thousands, millions of people, tens of millions of young powerhouse S and the brothers of the 100,000 plane controller sovereigns. These 100,000 planes were fought over by him. How could such a person owe Mu Wanner's life? Bai Qi did not believe in the past, but he owed Mu Wanner his life. It could even be said that his life was given to him by Mu Wanner, and everything that happened to him was given to him by Mu Wanner. Bai Qi did not say anything further. Your mother told me to wait here for you. I have waited for you now. F***CK. Who the hell are you? You said you owe my mother's life, so you owe it? Long Fei was puzzled, and he was even more confused towards his mother. Just how strong was she? Bai Qi said, My name is Bai Qi, the first Night King. F***CK, F***CK, F***CK. Long Fei glared at him. First-generation Night King? His heart was in turmoil, as though it was overturning the heavens and overturning the seas. He knew very well what the first Night King meant. It meant that powerhouse S who were shoulder to shoulder with sovereigns were once men who had stood at the peak of 100,000 planes. King of assassins. He was known as the god of death. Although he was not in the divine class, he still controlled the killing principle of 100,000 planes. He was the only fierce person who could control the laws, even though he hadn't entered the main temple. Because this was his own unique law. What a fierce person. That's not right. If you were the first Night King, then you would have been someone from millions or tens of millions of years ago. How would you know my mother? And how would you owe my mother's life? It didn't make sense at all. Bai Qi spoke up. Regarding this, I can't understand either. It should be a powerful time shuttling cultivation technique. Your mother is very strong. In the 100,000 planes, no one is a match for her. If it wasn't for her, the 100,000 planes might still be in a different shape. Other than him, Long Fei did not hear clearly, but he did. His heart was violently shocked by these few words. This is impossible. No matter how strong the time laws are, it's impossible for them to travel back to the past. If you can travel back to the past, isn't that just a simple reversal of the future? Is there need to hide? Long Fei was very clear about the huge crisis that the Dragon Manor and the Mu clan were facing in Universal Large World. If there really was a time to travel, who would they need to be afraid of? Bai Qi said, He told me to wait for you at the tomb of Night King. I did not expect that you would really come here. Now that Long Fei had recovered his body, he more and more did not understand his mother. She was like a ball of fog. Just how strong was she? Long Fei said, What are you waiting for me for? Bai Qi said, I shall pass you the killing principle and become a god of death. Can I impart the laws to him? Long Fei was startled. This was the first time he heard of the ancient code's ability to be passed down to others. Wasn't it true that the ancient code was comprehended as well? Laws weren't a cultivation method. They were something that was illusory and intangible, something that couldn't be imparted. Bai Qi said, I used to share the same thoughts as you, but now I am also in control of the killing principle. Furthermore, this rule was passed down to me by your mother. Holy **T. Besides the time laws, my mother also used the killing principle. Long Fei's heart trembled once more. Oh, old lady, how strong are you? I'm already happy under your shadow. Code of time, killing principle. Both of them were powerful law energies. Bai Qi gave a faint smile and said, According to what I know, there is nothing in the 100,000 planes that your mother is not capable of. Immediately, Long Fei's body sank. The blow in his heart did not seem to leave his body. He thought that his mother would have a power of law, but he didn't expect her to have a power of law. Now, he actually knows all the powers of law. How powerful was this? Compared to her, Long Fei immediately felt like he was an infant who had been stunted since birth. The blow was too great. When you think you can see the whole world, you can't even see a single hair. Time and time again, it exceeded Long Fei's imagination. Now, Long Fei didn't even dare to think about it. However, Long Fei's heart sank as well. Mother is so powerful, but if a huge crisis is about to befall Mu clan and the Dragon Manor, then how strong are the enemies? This was even more unimaginable. And then, Long Fei clenched his fists and swore in his heart. Universal Large World, I will definitely go and take a look. Long Fei looked at Bai Qi and said, You're going to teach me the killing principle, right? Bring it on. Chapter 2022, Provoked Who? Chapter 2022, Provoked Who putting aside his mother's matter. Long Fei couldn't think about so much now. Just how strong was he? How many secrets were there? What exactly was it arranged for? Was he the owner or the creator of the system? Long Fei had no way to think about these things right now. He could only wait until he saw his mother first. Right now, the most important thing for him was to level up and recover his HP. Since Bai Qi had imparted him the killing principle, why not accept it? Bai Qi was the god of slaughter. The king of assassins of the ancient war god was also the king of the Dark Night. How strong was he? Long Fei would soon find out just how strong the power of the ancient code was. He's gone. Why is it gone? Can it even disappear into thin air? Tian Yuan's face was filled with anger as he searched Ziyu's room. But he couldn't find the figures of Ziyu and Wang Tai. The sky had just darkened and guards were alternating. Tian Yuan immediately brought his men here. He originally wanted to rape Ziyu first before killing her, but he didn't expect that. Ziyu and Wang Tai, along with the huge coffin, were all gone. Did he fly away? Even if he flew away in Night King Valley, he wouldn't be able to fly out of the valley. Young master, I've asked, they didn't go out at all. A disciple ran back anxiously. One of the lackeys said in a low voice, Young master, could it be that the great elder took him away? If the entire Night King Valley were to help Ziyu's people, it was likely that even the great clan elder would be Tian Yuan's father. Tian Yuan frowned and said solemnly, Search this place for me. Even if they were to fly out, it would be impossible for them to leave the Night King Valley. Even if they had to dig 3 feet out of the ground, it would be fine. A dozen or so guards quickly rushed out. On a distant hillside, 2 elders watched quietly. One of the black-robed elders said indifferently, Tian Yuan is still too inexperienced. He is too reckless. Purple elder laughed lightly. Maybe he can help us with his recklessness. Didn't he not manage to find young Valley Master? Then we'll think of a way for him to find it. I have observed before. The person called Wang Tai is stronger than Tian Yuan. If you were to kill Tian Yuan, no matter how calm the great clan elder was, he would probably not be able to stay. Using a knife to kill someone? The black-robed elder's eyes flashed with a brilliant light. Purple elder laughed sinisterly. How is it? Elder Xiao gave a thumbs up. Hi, it's really high. I'll do it. The black-robed elder disappeared in a flash. Not long after, Tian Yuan brought his men and rushed back into Ziyu's courtyard, and directly arrived in front of the mural. Staring at the mural, the corner of his mouth slightly curled up. Ziyu, if you have the guts, don't come out. Guard here until you die. Tian Yuan sneered. I don't believe that you won't come out. After receiving the prompt, he immediately understood where Ziyu had gone to. Tomb of Night King. Only the Night King blood veins people could enter. But this was the only entrance, and also the only exit. As long as he guarded this place, he would definitely be able to wait until Ziyu. After all, Luby was still outside, looking for the antidote. Ziyu, if you have the guts, then stay inside for the rest of your life. Tian Yuan said loudly toward the fresco. As long as you come out, I will rape you before killing you, then rape you before killing you. In a mural, Wang Tai was enraged and shouted, You're courting death. Ziyu pulled him back. Don't go out, Wang Tai said. Just like him, I can fight 10 people by myself. The 2 of them were in the middle of the tomb of Night King. The giant spirit coffin was placed at the bottom of Night King Mountain, beside the white coffins. They did not know what Long Fei was doing now. Ziyu said, If we go out, I'm afraid we won't be able to come in again. Wang Tai was displeased. Then Ziyu said, Wait. Tian Yuan scolded loudly like before. Back then you rejected me, but what about now? I will still get your body. Not only that, I will ravage you to let my brothers have a taste of the young Valley Master. I heard that you have an orchid body fragrance. When the time comes, I will shatter your orchid. Ha ha. Laughter filled the room. Wang Tai clenched his fists tightly, and his knuckles cracked. Ziyu, on the other hand, had a dull expression. There was no change in her expression. She said lightly, Just let him scold. Anyway, scolding doesn't kill people. Then, Ziyu turned around to look at the several hundred white coffins on the Night King's hillside. Her heart sank as she muttered to herself, Ziyu is useless. Ziyu has tainted the Bai family's sacred land. Ziyu is against our ancestors. This was the place to place all the Night Kings and Ling Jiao. but she used it to hide her life. Now that the Night King Valley had become like this, she felt deeply guilty. When they reached the foot of the mountain, Ziyu suddenly knelt down. She knelt in front of her father's coffin and knelt down in front of the other ancestors' coffins as well, kowtowing heavily. When Wang Tai saw Ziyu kneel down, he let out a long sigh and asked, "Brotherly, when are you coming back?" "Brother Fei, if only you weren't poisoned." Sigh. No matter how strong a woman was, she was still a woman. She needed a man's shoulder to lean on. Ziyu had always been strong. The pressure she had to endure and the pain she had to endure made her desire to have a man to rely on. Ziyu raised her head slightly, looked at the giant spirit coffin, and said lightly, "You have to hold on. The big bloke will definitely bring the antidote." "He will. You must hold on." She was worried that Long Fei would not be able to hold on. After all, this was a poison refined by the sky god. Wang Tai also said to himself, "Brother Fei, you must endure it." Fairy Grass Valley. Boom! In the 9th level of Hell, the gigantic Hell Beast, who is also a spirit Grassgar divine beast, became an obedient dog in front of Li Yuanba and Tianling. However, his head was full of bags. He was disobedient at first, but after a fierce beating, he obeyed immediately. Li Yuanba looked at a piece of black stone that had a thin and tender stalk of grass growing on them. Sacred immortal grass. Poison Monster ran excitedly behind them. The reason he was in Fairy Grass Valley was to wait for the spiritual immortal grass. The reason why the entire Fairy Grass Valley was filled with spirit energy. Li Yuanba glanced at Poison Monster and asked, "Is that it?" Poison Monster nodded. "That's him," but without waiting for him to finish speaking, Li Yuanba walked forward and dug out the stalk of immortal grass from the black stone. Poison Monster was dumbstruck, looking like he wanted to die. Li Yuanba looked at him and said, "Let's go, we've already obtained the immortal grass. What are you waiting for?" Poison Monster's tears rolled his eyes as he said, "Elder, you're my grandfather. It's still not ripe yet. If you pick it now, it won't even have a tenth of its medicinal properties." Li Yuanba was startled. "Damn, then why didn't you say that earlier?" Poison Monster said, "I do want to say it, but did you give me the chance to say it?" The forehead of the sky's spirit tightened. "Then what do we do now?" Li Yuanba said, "There isn't enough time. I need to hurry back." While they were talking, Li Yuanba grabbed Poison Monster by the collar and threw him into the air, shouting, "I don't care if you can't save my boss. I'll kill you." Poison Monster had a bitter face. "Did I offend someone?" Chapter 2023, Fighting Tian Yuan. Chapter 2023, Fighting Tian Yuan on the 3rd day. The day of Li Yuanba's return. In front of the wall, Tian Yuan suddenly laughed out loud and said loudly toward the wall, "Ziyu, the big size guy is back, huh? I was captured by my father and his men. I heard you brought an antidote." Tian Yuan's mind trembled. He made a gesture for her to be quiet, and his ears perked up to listen carefully. Brotherly is back. Wang Tai was overjoyed and was about to rush out. Ziyu was still kneeling in front of the grave, but she was suddenly pleasantly surprised. In just a split second, she immediately shouted at him, "Don't go out. He's lying to us." Wang Tai was startled. Ziyu said, "If the big-sized man were to come back, he would have definitely reached here first. The Great Elder would definitely not arrest him, so Tian Yuan wants to trick us to get out." She believed in Elder Destiny. He would absolutely not make a move on the appointment of 3 days, even if the time was not up yet. Wang Tai said anxiously, "Everyone's will change. What if Brotherly really comes back and gets caught? Then we—" Indeed. What if what Tian Yuan said was true? If he delayed the treatment? Long Fei's life was extremely weak right now, and he could die at any moment. Even if there was a 10% chance of it being true, they would still have to try. Ziyu's brow tightened. She knew that Tian Yuan was trying to trick them to leave, but what if it was real? A trace of panic appeared in her heart as well. She wasn't 100% sure. Wang Tai said, "You are inside. I will leave first. If it is not true, I will speak loudly." Without waiting for Ziyu to speak, Wang Tai stepped into the distorted space. The mural outside moved. Following that, Wang Tai's figure appeared from the mural. Tian Yuan's brows sank and did not rush to make a move. He only sneered at Wang Tai and said, "Where's Ziyu?" Wang Tai asked, "Where is brotherly?" Tian Yuan laughed coldly. He was captured the moment he entered the Night King Valley and is currently locked in the Night King's prison. Do you want to see him? Sure. Tian Yuan looked at the fresco and said, "Ziyu, come out right now. If you serve me well today, I'll let you guys meet the big guy." Wang Tai's eyes flashed with killing intent. He shouted, "You're courting death." Without waiting for Wang Tai to finish, Ziyu looked at the giant spirit coffin in the distance, then at the white coffin on the hillside. He stepped out of the mural. Ziyu walked out, looked at Tian Yuan, and said, "I'm coming out." Tian Yuan was too excited to the point where he immediately laughed wildly. "Ziyu, you're finally out. You're really willing to do anything for that Long Fei?" Ziyu saw Tian Yuan's excited expression and immediately said, "You're lying to me. The big size guy didn't come back at all." Tian Yuan laughed. "So what if I'm lying? You clearly know that I lied to you, but you still came out by yourself because, in your heart, Long Fei's life is incomparably important." Giggle. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth. Tian Yuan stared at Ziyu and said, "From today onwards, you will never see him again, and he will also die inside. It's mine. Attack." As soon as he finished, the disciples surrounding Tian Yuan immediately rushed forward. He had been played. He was scolded for a day and a night. Wang Tai had long since lost control of the rage in his heart. The moment Tian Yuan had uttered the word "go," the power of God's bone taboo instantly burst forth from his body. His entire body was like a hedgehog. Shwa! A charge! Boom! He landed in front of Tian Yuan, grabbed his collar, and raised him into the air, then fiercely smashed him onto the ground. The whole room was shaking and the ground was cracking. Tian Yuan spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale white as he laid on the ground like a dead dog. Wang Tai bellowed, "You want to fight over a woman with my brother Fei? You're just a hair's breadth, right?" Spitting a mouthful of phlegm onto Tian Yuan's body was extremely disdainful. Tian Yuan's body was in great pain, and the hatred in his heart was even more intense. He roared loudly, "Kill him, kill him, kill him for me." Still clamoring, Wang Tai glared at him. Tian Yuan's body trembled slightly. Wang Tai took a step forward, but was stopped by Ziyu, who gently shook her head. Wang Tai was puzzled. "Why didn't you kill him? He scolded you for an entire day." Ziyu said, "You can't kill him. Tian Yuan was Destiny's only son. If he died, Ziyu wouldn't be able to guarantee what fate would do. At this critical juncture, Tian Yuan couldn't die." Tian Yuan laughed loudly, as if he had seen through everything. "You guys don't dare to kill me, right? My father is the great clan elder. He is the Night King Valley's substitute patriarch. If anything happens to me, my father will not spare you. Ha ha." He was extremely pleased with himself. Wang Tai was not happy and shouted, "I cannot kill you, but my old man can cripple you." He stepped forward and heavily slapped him. "Ha!" Tian Yuan's 2 front teeth were knocked off. His mouth was full of blood. His face had 5 finger marks on it. "Let's try calling another one." Tian Yuan's front teeth fell off as she became dizzy and her words leaked wind. "You hit me. You dare hit me. My father won't forgive you. You guys just wait for me." Not waiting for him to finish, Wang Tai slapped him again. "What if I hit you?" "Pa!" It was the left side of his face that had been slapped, and this time it was the right side of his face that had been slapped. More teeth fell out. Wang Tai disdainfully said, "If you can't win, just call me father, just like a 3-year-old child. Is someone like you worthy to fight with me, Brother Fei, for a woman? Why didn't you call out all 18 generations of your ancestors?" Tian Yuan was violently beaten up. He had never been beaten up like this before. Tian Yuan used the last bit of his remaining strength to escape and said with a heavy tone, "Just you wait." He frantically escaped. They ran out of the yard. His group of small fries immediately scrambled out of the way. In the distance, on the mountainside, the black-robed elder sneered and said, "What a trash. I can't even take a single blow." Purple Elder replied, "It's not that Tian Yuan is trash. It's just that the power on Wang Tai's body is very strong. He has already reached the power of the middle stage of lower god. What do we do now? Elder Shao asked. Purple Elder laughed sinisterly and said, It's very simple. Kill. Kill. Do you want to fight Ziyu? Ziyu is the last of the Night King blood vein, and also the young Valley Master. Not her, but Tian Yuan. Our goal is for him to die. So if he dies, the Great Clan Elder will naturally not be able to control his anger. Elder Shao said, Hi. This is Hai. Tian Yuan was a small fry. His cultivation was ordinary. His talent was mediocre. But his identity was different. The Great Elder's only son. No matter how calm the Great Elder was, the pain of losing his son would make him rage. This way, Night King Valley would be able to take on Ziyu in an all-out attack. However, what the two elders did not expect was that Tian Yuan did not go to his father's place, and instead silently left the valley. Greetings, Lord Liu. Chapter 2024 begin. Chapter 2024 begin. No one had expected this to happen. Purple Elder was stunned, and his heart tightened slightly. His plans had been disrupted. Half an hour later, the black-robed Elder shook his head. We didn't find him. Outside the valley, Tian Yuan was like an obedient pug as he bowed and kneeled by Lu Tianyou's side, and said, They are right inside, and the coffin containing Long Fei is inside the tomb of Night King. Tomb of Night King? Lu Tianyou's eyes lit up. Night King Valley was one of the most mysterious places in the primordial divine war, and Tomb of Night King was the most mysterious sacred place. The King of Assassins. Killing Path Controller. There must be endless treasures buried inside his grave, and maybe the legendary Killing Principle. If he could obtain this kind of ancient code, then he would immediately become an ascendant expert of the main temple. Lu Tianyu became excited, buying one for free. I heard that no one in the Tomb of Night King knows where it is. Do you know? Tian Yuan was violently beaten up, a belly full of anger was squeezed out, and he said, I know, right inside the frescoes, only the Night King blood vein can open it. This was the Night King Valley secret. He ignored it all. Right now, he only wanted to kill Wang Tai and Ziyu. As for the secret that the Night King Valley could not divulge, he did not think too much about it. Lu Tianyu said excitedly, All right, Tian Yuan, you have rendered a great merit. In the future, I will support you to become the new Night King of the Night King Valley. Finished. Lu Tianyu said, Have your men open the door. We are entering the valley. Tian Yuan was extremely excited and said, As you command. At the entrance of the valley, the idea moved. Soon after, the gate of the valley slowly opened. Seeing the entrance of the valley open, Lu Tianyu became excited. I couldn't find the entrance for a long time, so this is the place I'm looking for. This Night King Valley is really amazing, as expected of the first valley of the primordial divine war. Tian Yuan said, This is the place the first Night King found. While they were talking, Tian Yuan was about to step forward and lead the way, but it was just that. A Legend Palace disciple stopped him and said, We will go in ourselves. Lu Tianyu walked towards the Night King Valley and muttered with a smile. I should be the first person to step into the Night King Valley, right? For all these years, even the gods of Main Temple have not come here. I am the first one. Long Fei's head. The tombs of successive Night Kings. I'm going to post. Lu Tianyu was extremely excited. Obtaining any one of them was enough for him to enjoy for his entire life. Tian Yuan always wanted to chase after him, but he was constantly pushed away. Go behind him. Go to the back. Behind. Until all of the 100 powerhouses that Lu Tianyu had brought entered the Night King Valley. Tian Yuan was still at the entrance of the valley. Just as he was about to enter the valley, a woman walked over. Tian Yuan's eyes moved. He was dumbstruck, and saliva was about to flow from the corner of his mouth. Wow, there's actually such a beautiful woman in this world. Beautiful. It was incomparably beautiful. His aura and ice-cold gaze made him seem like a complete ice-and amp. Snow Queen. Tian Yuan became excited and thought to himself, ZU is nothing in front of her. If I can take this woman down, then I... Ha! Tian Yuan tidied up his messy hair a little and walked forward. Beautiful girl, where are you going? The lady said coldly. Is that Night King Valley ahead? Tian Yuan immediately said, yes, it's Night King Valley. I am Night King Valley's future Night King. The woman didn't say anything and just walked over. Tian Yuan stared blankly. Am I not attractive enough? Immediately running forward, she said, beautiful lady, I am the future Night King. If you want, not waiting for him to finish. The woman moved her power, and a crystal-like phoenix shadow suddenly came crashing down, forming 10,000 sword intents and slashed Tian Yuan's body 10 million times. Immediately, Tian Yuan stood there like a statue, not moving at all. Millions of thin scars appeared on his body. Every scar was covered in ice, and it was as if their entire body was frozen, and he had become an ice sculpture. Ice Phoenix power. Instant kill. Phoenix Emperor, Jojo. At the same time, she walked towards the valley at a leisurely pace without even turning her head. Awesome, quite amazing. Phoenix Emperor's current cultivation was countless times stronger than before. Her eyes were cold. It carried a strong, killing intent. There was only one goal in her mind, to kill Long Fei. The Night King Valley's door opened, and a bell immediately rang in the valley. Heaven's Mandate's eyebrows tightened, and he secretly felt relieved. He immediately asked, is it that big bloke? 3 days. Today was the 3rd day. If he came back and obtained the antidote, then Destiny's heart would be at ease. However, at this time, a disciple hurriedly ran into his room and said, Great Elder, something bad has happened. Something bad has happened. Heaven's Mandate put down the brush in his hand. He only wrote half of the word life before asking, what happened that made you so flustered? Legend Palace's 100 powerhouse S are here. The disciple was sweating profusely from anxiety. Destiny's face darkened as he asked, who opened the gates? The Night King Valley's Valley Gate was special. As long as one did not open the gate, no one could enter or fly in. That disciple said, yes, it was young master who called for the door to open. Heaven's Mandate clenched his fists and walked out with large strides. Soon, Heaven's Mandate arrived at the Night King Valley's plaza. Lu Tianyu led 100 Legend Palaces. These powerhouse flew to various roofs and formed an extremely strong killing intent. The square was surrounded. A few elders stepped forward to welcome him. Great Clan Elder, the people from Legend Palace have arrived. They must have come for Long Fei. Hand him over. Yeah, we can't afford it. With just Night King Valley's current strength, he is not a match for us. Great Clan Elder, you have to consider the bigger picture. The disciples of the Night King Valley were all outside, hiding in secret. They wouldn't go back to the Night King Valley without a summon. 100 powerhouse in Legend Palace S could not bear it. He walked out from the crowd and looked at Lu Tianyu. What kind of wind brought you here? Night King Valley doesn't seem to have anything to do with it, right? Ha ha. Lu Tianyu laughed out loud and said, I didn't have any connections in the past, but now I do. I don't want to waste words with you. Hand over the person who killed Crown Prince. Heaven's Mandate trembled and said, you want people to come to Night King Valley? What if I don't? As soon as he finished, the eyes of the people from the Night King Valley were all shocked. Having said that, they had no choice but to be on full alert. One of the elders immediately said in a low voice, Grand Elder, you should reconsider not waiting for him to finish. Heaven's Mandate said heavily, I will never break the promise of 3 days. What's more, their goal is not only Long Fei. Lu Tianyu laughed faintly, his gaze sweeping across the surroundings as he said, if you don't hand it over, then I'll kill you until you hand it over. He raised his gaze. He said coldly, do it. Chapter 2025, Trap? Chapter 2025, Trap? He attacked without saying a word. Lu Tianyu did not want to say much, so he decided to kill first. Moreover, his goal this time was not only Long Fei, but also the tomb of Night King. As soon as his voice fell, dozens of Legend Palace S moved, revealing their swords. Looking up, their killing, intent sword. Destiny's brows tightened, and he instantly entered a state of preparation. The commoners in Night King Valley all retreated slightly. One of the clan elders quickly came out and said, "Calm down, Master. Long Fei has nothing to do with our Night King Valley. Let us discuss this a little more, and we will personally hand Long Fei over to you." Lu Tianyu smiled lightly and said disdainfully, "Everyone says that your Night King Valley is united with one heart. Looks like it's not like the rumors. All right, then I'll give you a quarter of an hour. If you do not hand Long Fei over, kill." Lu Tianyu was not in a hurry. Before entering the Night King Valley, he had already known clearly of the Night King Valley's strength, numbers of people, and number of experts. It could be said, the people he brought crushed everything with absolute superiority, so he was not worried. The clan elder quickly walked to Heaven's Mandate and said, "Great clan elder, you cannot treat the lives of the entire valley as child's play. He is just an outsider. He has nothing to do with our Night King Valley." "That's right. Big brother, you have to consider this carefully. This matter affects the life and death of all the thousands of us in the valley. Hand him over. He is someone that the main temple wants, and he is the Legend Palace today. Tomorrow, he might be the powerhouse. Can we save him today and protect him for the rest of his life?" Grand Elder, think twice. Everyone knew that Long Fei had offended the main temple. Main temple had already released word that he wanted Long Fei's head. Let alone the main temple. Even the Legend Palace was not a match for him. It was not worth it to throw away the lives of everyone in the valley for Long Fei. How could Heaven's Mandate not know this? But once the Night King Valley was written on top of his head like that, how powerful would the Night King be? Would there still be a place for the Night King Valley in the Primordial War? Heaven's Mandate said, "Night King Valley is never afraid. Great Elder, Big Brother, now is not the time to be fearless. Now is the time to choose between life and death. You cannot let the whole valley throw their lives away for you, so you should just ask them if they are willing to die with you." Exactly. Heaven's Mandate had chosen a fight, but the other elders, however, didn't move. They didn't want to die. Even if they won, there would be main temple in the future, and they would still die. Heaven's Mandate looked around at the elders who were trying to dissuade him. If he said a few more words, these elders would probably block his path, or even attack him, because Heavens could see the fear, panic, and unconcealable fear in their eyes. Just when Destiny didn't know what to choose, Ziyu slowly walked out and said, "I will hand it over." With that, everyone turned to look at Ziyu. The expressions of everyone changed slightly. Destiny's eyes also narrowed as he walked forward and said in a low voice, "This is none of your business. Hurry up and leave." One of the servants said softly to Lu Tianyu. He immediately said, "Wait. Little Valley Master, right?" Lu Tianyu's eyes shone with a bright light. He remembered that Tian Yuan had said that to open the tomb of Night King, the Night King blood vein, was the only option. The Ziyu in front of him was the only person who could open the tomb of Night King. Lu Tianyu said, "Young Valley Master, where is he?" Ziyu walked forward and said fearlessly, "She's at the tomb of Night King." He directly said it out loud. The entire audience was stunned again. Everyone was shocked. Tomb of Night King? This is where all the Night King's coffins are kept. How can we leave him there? Aren't you being too presumptuous? Do you still have Night King Valley in your eyes? You're right. This girl is too presumptuous. Tomb of Night King S were the sacred grounds of Night King Valley, and were also forbidden grounds. Outsiders were not allowed to enter, but now that Long Fei was placed there, it had violated the clan rules. Ziyu turned a deaf ear to the furious roars coming from around them. "Tell those who have called you to leave, and I will personally bring you into the tomb of Night King to hand Long Fei over to you." As soon as he finished, Destiny immediately said, "No. Ziyu, that's a tomb of Night King. We definitely can't let anyone disrupt it." An elder immediately said, "Since young Valley Master has already made his decision, we will do as she says." Exactly. Hand it over. Now that he no longer cared about any tomb of Night King, As long as Lu Tianyu got hold of Long Fei and quickly left, there was nothing that he could do. Lu Tianyu's brows tightened as he looked at Ziyu and asked, "You're going in alone?" Ziyu said, "If too many people enter, I'm afraid that they will disturb the rest of the ancestors, so I can only bring you in. Are you going or not? If you don't want to, then please leave." "Go. Of course I'm going." Lu Tianyu did not hesitate at all and said, "Lead the way." Ziyu said, "Evacuate your people from Night King Valley first. Retreat." Lu Tianyu smiled faintly and raised his eyes slightly. And then, as the dozens of voices fell, dozens of children from the Night King Valley were carried and landed on high ground. Lu Tianyu said, "Take them out of the valley. If I don't come out in an hour, kill them." Ziyu's forehead tightened. Lu Tianyu faintly said, "Young Valley Master, please." Most of the Legend Palace left, but only a small portion remained hidden within the Night King Valley. Ziyu looked at Destiny. Destiny nodded slightly. Ziyu said, "Follow me." Buzz, buzz, buzz. Numerous buzzing sounds exploded within Long Fei's idea. Like rolling thunder, waves after waves of powerful energy poured into it, as if they were about to collapse. Long Fei clenched his teeth and persisted. "It's almost the most critical moment. You have to bear it." Long Fei roared out, "Come then." Bai Chi's pair of eyes opened wide, and then numerous war horses and demon beasts appeared in the sky and crazily rushed over. Every single warrior had encountered the power of killing principle. At this moment, Long Fei's consciousness was like a giant battlefield. Bai Chi shouted, "It's coming. We have to endure it." Rumble, rumble, rumble. Long Fei's body sank even deeper, relying solely on the body of the idea within the training space. Long Fei endured a pain that normal people could not bear. He must endure it, because if he could not endure it, he would fail and would not be able to enter the training space again. The antidote, it might be of no use to him. If he failed, he would die. Just when Long Fei was about to receive the last bit of power from the killing principle, the mural twisted. Ziyu brought Lu Tianyu into the tomb of Night King. Lu Tianyu's face was full of shock and excitement as he said, "Tomb of Night King, Tomb of Night King. This is the Tomb of Night King, huh?" It was also at this moment. A figure landed. Wang Tai blocked in front and pulled out a black bone blade from his body. Chapter 2026, Fierce Tiger Out of the Cage. Chapter 2026, Fierce Tiger Out of the Cage. The aura on Ziyu's body instantly changed. The edges of his eyes revealed his white meridian. Pupil changes. It was the same around the ears. The edges of the ears were pointed, and the veins were white. Lu Tianyu laughed coldly. "You tricked me here. Can only two trash block me?" He glanced at Wang Tai and Ziyu. The two of them were not even in the middle god realm, and they stopped him. Wishful thinking. He didn't even put the two of them in his eyes. Lu Tianyu said, "I advise you to be tactful and scram to the side if not." Before he could finish, Lu Tianyu instantly disappeared. Ziyu shouted, "Be careful." Her white eyes flashed as she shouted, "Left side, eagle strike the sky." Wang Tai's reaction speed was incredibly fast as black bone blade moved, fiercely piercing towards the left. He did not see Lu Tianyu's figure at all, but the sword pierced through. Crash! The clothes at his waist were torn. Lu Tianyu's body shot forward and floated in midair. He glanced at Ziyu, then said, "White-eyed, white-eared ear, is this the power passed down in your Night King? Then let's see how fast the power of the Night King's clan is." Boom, boom, boom. His figure flashed, and three figures appeared. Wang Tai looked at Ziyu. Ziyu's eyes slightly trembled. All three of them are physical. Impossible. No one has three physical entities. Ziyu's white eyes could see all sorts of illusions, but Lu Tianyu's body that was floating in midair had three physical bodies and no illusions. Lu Tianyu's mouth curved up, and he laughed. "You can't tell, right?" Chua. The three bodies moved as they charged towards Wang Tai. Wang Tai's heart secretly sank. The god's bone taboo strength on his body exploded outwards, and all the bones in his body continued to grow crazily, one after another. It looked like a monster. Wanta didn't care about how he looked like. Between his eyebrows, his face was covered in black bones. As long as he could protect Long Fei, he could die even if he wanted to. Appearance? It was no longer important. Thorned all over? Become a hedgehog? Humph. Even so, I can still completely remove all the spikes from your body. Lu Qinyo's 3 bodies fell and attacked at the same time. Ziyu quickly said, left side, front side, head. Wang Tai, be careful. 3 attacks. Wang Tai stared at one spot. With his current strength, he could not defend against 3 attacks at all. Just now, Ziyu had made it very clear that all 3 were physical. Then, one death, one another. In that instant, an incomparably sharp bone appeared on Wang Tai's chest. Without waiting for Lu Qinyo's attack to fall, his body suddenly rushed out, and he did not care about his life. He ignored the attack on the left side and the attack on the top of his head. Boom! Crack! The black bone spike instantly pierced into one of Lu Qinyo's bodies. At the same time, Wang Tai's left arm was completely broken. A palm came slamming down from above his head, his body sank down, and he knelt down heavily on the ground with both knees. The kneecap had broken. Blood gushed out. But Wang Tai was still very excited because he had crippled one of Lu Tianyo's physical bodies. However, Lu Tianyu laughed out loud. See what it is? The physical entity that Wang Tai had killed was only a wolf. Ziyu's expression changed, and she shouted, "Be careful!" Lu Tianyu shouted out. Too late. The limitless power in his body surged out crazily as he struck down with his palm and struck the top of Wang Tai's head yet again. Die. Boom! The top of his head felt like it was splitting apart. From the top of his head, all of his bones were cracking and cracking, unable to withstand the pressure at all. Wang Tai spurted out a mouthful of blood. His eyes stared straight at Ziyu and said, "Quick, quick, let's go." Bam! Lu Tianyu looked at the dying Wang Tai and sneered. "You overestimate yourself." A kick flew out. He directly kicked Wang Tai into the dark abyss. Wang Tai fell into the abyss. No one knew where this abyss led to. Even the people of the Night King's clan did not know. Not even the first Night King. Ziyu's heart tightened. Lu Tianyu laughed coldly. "I already said that none of you can. You still want to stop me? I'll give up on this idea. After I obtain Long Fei's head and absorb all the remaining energy from the previous Night Kings, maybe I'll become the new Night King, master the Night King killing principle, and directly become part of the immortal class, becoming a new god of death from the 100,000 planes." Ha ha ha! Lu Tianyu looked at Ziyu and said, "You are the first witness. You should feel incomparably honored." Ziyu frowned and smiled. "If you can't become the Night King, you won't be placed in the immortal class. You will only slowly die of old age here. Even if you gain all of your strength, you won't be able to leave." While they were talking, Ziyu Bai's eyes moved. The power from his body directly rushed towards the exit. Explode. Boom! With a dull thud, the exit disappeared into nothingness. Here, it became an independent space. There was no door to enter, no door to exit from, no way to leave. No matter how well Lu Tianyu calculated, he did not calculate this point. With a flash of air, he directly rushed behind Ziyu, only to discover that there really was no exit. His surroundings were completely void of space, completely independent of one another. Huh! He flipped over and sent a slap flying out. Ziyu's body trembled as blood dripped from the corner of her mouth. However, she still laughed loudly. Ha! Ha ha! You want the power of the Night King? Go and die with all the Night Kings. Ah! Lu Tianyu went crazy. The power in his body burst forth crazily, wanting to break through the barrier of space, but it was impossible. He was just an ordinary god. It was still unable to break through space. If he was trapped, just as Ziyu had said, he would forever be trapped here, and then slowly die of old age. Lu Tianyu roared, "If you want to die, you have to die first." Violet Moon wasn't able to block. She knew what would happen if she were to take this step, but Her eyes looked at the giant spirit coffin and muttered in her heart, Long Fei, I'm sorry. 3 days' time was almost up. Even if Long Fei got the antidote, he would not be able to save her. She blamed herself for this. If not for her, Long Fei would not have gotten involved in this dispute. Ziyu looked at the white coffin again and thought, I'm sorry, Daddy. I'm useless. I couldn't find the 9 steps yang reversion pill for you. Sorry. The ancestors of the Night King clan, I'm sorry. Ziyu is useless. She's unable to revive the Night Royal family, unable to be like her ancestors. After saying all that, Ziyu closed her eyes slightly, waiting for death. At this moment, the lid of a coffin suddenly exploded. Wong. A loud sound echoed out. An extremely powerful law energy burst forth. A person slowly floated up from within the coffin. Long Fei. Chapter 2027, Crazy Reward, Crazy Upgrade. Chapter 2027, Crazy Reward, Crazy Upgrade, cluck, 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 cluck. A series of bone explosions. Long Fei's neck slightly moved, his hands and legs moved, and his entire body was filled with explosive sounds. Furthermore, crawling out from the coffin, he looked like a zombie out of a cage. It was eerie and terrifying. Following this loud noise, Ziyu's eyes opened, looking at the Long Fei that was floating in the air in the distance. She actually had the urge to cry. However, she did not make a sound. There was still Li Yuanba's giant spirit god among the giant spirit coffin. And was it also the great art of soul transfer? She wasn't sure. Lu Tianyu turned and saw the angry Long Fei coming out from the coffin. His mouth curled up, revealing a disdainful expression. You are Long Fei? Long Fei ignored him. He was still floating in the air with his eyes closed, as though he was in a deep sleep. Hitting a ghost. Lu Tianyu snorted coldly. The aura on his body moved, and his body charged forward. He instantly charged towards Long Fei. A powerful force came crashing down. Ziyu's heart tightened as she shouted, Be careful. Buzz! Under the overwhelming force, an explosive sound was heard. Long Fei did not move. Lu Tianyu's body spun in mid-air at a speed of 720 degrees. He tumbled backwards, and all the power released from his body was pushed back in that moment. They did not even touch the corner of Long Fei's clothes. At this moment, what was Long Fei waiting for? He was waiting. A crazy notification sound. Half a minute ago, he had absorbed all of the inheritance power of the killing principle. In just half a minute, Long Fei released the killing principle, which released 10,000 killing intents. In that moment, he also attacked forcefully, killing all the steel armor beasts in the foreign battlefield with a thought. First stage of the martial arts training mission completed. 10,000 steel armor beasts were all killed. 1 trillion experience. The system beep-s echoed crazily. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at lower god level 2. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, lower god level 3. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at lower god level 4. Level exploded. 1 trillion experience points was rapidly decreasing. Half a minute later. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Currently at middle god level 1. 10 levels consecutively. 1 trillion experience. Long Fei secretly clicked his tongue. Damn, isn't this level too high? He had even said that it was difficult to break through to the 10th level in an instant. If anyone else had heard of this, they would definitely beat him, violently beating him. It was as if lower god wanted to climb the heavens for one more step. Breaking through to the middle god required more than 100, more than 1,000 years, tens of thousands of years of time slowly accumulated together. Long Fei had only used a few seconds, just like that. All right, the level upgrade is over. I should have obtained task reward, right? This was what Long Fei was most concerned about. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the first stage of Dragon Coffin Martial Arts Training Mode. Obtain special reward. Reward: Cultivation Armor. Huh. Long Fei was startled. Damn, what is that thing? Never heard of it. After looking at the stats, Long Fei was just about to curse. System, you bastard. Do you think I haven't suffered enough? You even made a cultivation armor? Are you trying to screw me over? Cultivation armor. After he went through it, his strength, speed, reaction speed, all his attributes would be reduced by half. However, if one wore the cultivation armor, their cultivation would increase 5 times. A cultivation armor was a 5 times experience armor. But his weakness was to reduce his own strength by half. Just like running with a weight on your back, once you take off the weight on your body, your speed increases rapidly. This was the case with the cultivation armor. Although he was complaining, this set of training armor was not bad. At this time, the system sounded out once again. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the upgrade reward. Long Fei's heart tensed up again. There is still one more chance to reward me. This time you better not scam me again. Old Master, bless me. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the call system's reward. Immediately summoned. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining an additional Sky Emperor summon. Sky Emperor summon. One time, it lasted for 10 minutes. But summoning the Celestial Emperor, there was nothing he couldn't do. Holy sh**t. Does it have to be that abnormal? Long Fei's mind tensed up from the opening of the true cultivation armor to the summoning of the Heavenly Emperor. All of a sudden, from hell to heaven, Long Fei was still not used to it. Activate the call system. Random summon. Can you summon a beautiful girl? Warrior. Who's naked? Can I summon Big Sister Chang'e? Can you summon your smooth, old teacher? The more Long Fei thought about it, the more evil he felt. In short, he felt extremely satisfied. It's great to level up. Completing the mission is great. Just as Long Fei was filled with excitement, Lu Tianyu moved once again. This time, an even more powerful force surged out, forming a gigantic sword chi that slashed toward the center of Long Fei's brows. Let's see if you'll die this time. At this time, Long Fei's eyes suddenly opened, staring straight at Lu Tianyu. His eyes became tight. Injure my brother, hit my woman, die. One word, die. The moment the word death came out of his mouth, the killing principle on Long Fei's body exploded with power, as if it was a primordial power. A powerful force rushed into Lu Tianyu's body. Boom! His body exploded. Instant kill. He didn't even have the chance to resist. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Legend Palace Elder Lu Tianyu for obtaining 100,000 experience, 100,000 god power, and 1 metamorphic energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Sea Heaven Divine Sword. Trash! Long Fei didn't even take a glance. He completely ignored her. Even more so, it didn't want to waste its metamorphic energy value on it. Ziyu was dumbstruck. She looked at Long Fei and asked, "Is it the great art of soul transfer?" The great art of soul transfer should be the appearance of the giant spirit god. Now it should be Long Fei. Then, Ziyu didn't dare to imagine. Forget about the power of the mind-lostenic poison. Just in these few days, it was as if Long Fei had become a completely different person, an existence with explosive fighting strength. Even middle god powerhouse Lu Tianyu was easily killed in an instant. How strong was that? How abnormal was it? Ziyu discovered that everyone around Long Fei was abnormal. Li Yuanba was one, Wang Tai was another. Long Fei shook his head, laughed lightly, and said, "No, I am Long Fei." Ziyu looked at Long Fei and said, "Your cultivation. How did you suddenly become the aura of the middle god? And how did you remove the poison from your body?" "Right, and Wang Tai." Ziyu's face was filled with excitement. Long Fei flew in front of her and pulled her into his embrace, then said softly, "It's fine. Everything's fine. Wang Tai is fine too." Warm shoulders. This was the shoulder Z you wanted to rely on. After a long time, Long Fei said, "Oh right, let me introduce you to someone." At this moment, Night King Valley. Jojo quietly stood at the top of the mountain, his eyes sweeping the area. Chapter 2028, Killing Intent. Chapter 2028, Killing Intent. Quick, quick, quick. Tell your war pet to hurry up, Li Yuanba said loudly. The heavenly spirit stared at Poison Monster and asked, "Did you hear what Brother Ba said?" Poison Monster's face was filled with bitterness. The mount beneath him was also full of bitterness. Poison Monster said, "Masters, this is already the fastest speed." The Holy Spirit said, "Brother Ba, how is boss?" Li Yuanba shook his head. "I don't know." He didn't dare say. His heart was filled with incomparable worry. Poison Monster interrupted. "Once struck by a mind-lost Stinig poison, unless a miracle happens, there is no cure, only death." Pah! Before he could finish, a chestnut jumped up from the top of his head and knocked on the door. "Try saying another King die again. If my boss dies, you'll also die with him." With another bag on top of Poison Monster's head, he really wanted to die. The number 1 poison master of the ancient god battle. Did he still have the demeanor of a poison master after being mistreated like a human? Li Yuanba also frowned. He looked at the spirit immortal grass in his hand and said to himself, "Boss, you have to hold on." They were getting closer and closer to the Night King Valley. Outside the Night King Valley, a few of the elders gathered around to discuss. Most of the time has passed, but Elder Lu still hasn't come out. Could something have happened? It's possible. What if something happens to him? Humph! You bunch of pigs, wouldn't it be better if something happened to him? Since the price has already reached our feet, do you still not know how to pick it up? Of course we'll kill our way in, flatten the Night King Valley, and take Long Fei down. The credit will be ours. Don't you want to become part of the divine class? Everyone shivered. An excited smile appeared on his face. That's right. Something has really happened to Elder Lu. We have to take Long Fei down as well. The God's Array Presbyter was dead. Lu Tianyu was extremely excited. Now, if Lu Tianyu died, there would be people who would be extremely excited. One dead meant one less competitor. Not mentioning Long Fei, even clearing Night King Valley was a great contribution, and they would not miss such an opportunity. 2 hours passed. They were almost there. Night King Valley, Night King's meeting room. Grand Elder, what we do now? Grand Elder, I beg of you, please save my child. I'm just a child. I'm begging you. Grand Elder, I beg of you, save my child. The hall was full of weeping sounds. Dozens of children were caught, and many women were kneeling outside the hall. He knew very well what Ziyu's final gaze meant, that she wanted to perish together with Lu Tianyu. He knew clearly in his heart that once he entered the tomb of Night King, Lu Tianyu would definitely not be able to leave. The time was coming. If Lu Tianyu did not appear, the Legend Palace would have killed all of those children. Great Elder, it's all because of Ziyu. Yes, it's all his fault. If not for her, our Night King Valley would not have become like this. It's too late to say anything about it now. The most important thing right now is to resolve the problem. I've already checked. Only 70% of the 100 Legend Palace entered and left the Night King Valley. In other words, 29 of them are hidden inside the Night King Valley. 29 people, they are all peerless experts. We are working together from the inside, let alone unable to stop it. Heaven's mandate furrowed his brows. Having reached this point, he had to come up with a decision. After pausing for a brief moment, his voice trembled as he shouted, "Kill!" The entire hall suddenly became silent. They all looked at him. An elder said, "What are you going to use to fight them?" Heaven's mandate's voice was cold as he said, "We are assassins, the strongest assassination organization in the ancient god battle. In our world, we only have targets and no methods." Target, Legend Palace's 100 powerhouse S. His voice was filled with a domineering aura. Without any room for discussion, the few elders looked at each other in dismay. When did our Night King Valley suffer such humiliation? So what if you're a Legend Palace? Kill. Let them experience the power of the strongest assassin. Several elders said in a low voice. Grand Elder, just tell us what to do. Heaven's mandate said, decoy them into entering the valley. Everyone, prepare well for me. No matter what, We must kill them. We are assassins. We don't care about the process. We only care about the assassins. And then, everyone withdrew. The Night King Valley quickly mobilized and prepared everything. The battle was about to begin. Jojo was still looking for Long Fei's figure. Where is it? Where is it? She searched through the entire valley, but she couldn't find Long Fei's figure at all. The voice in her head kept on telling her that Long Fei was in the middle of the valley. Right here. For this. Jojo quietly stood on top of a big tree, coldly looking down at everything that happened, like a leopard hiding, waiting for his prey to appear. Outside the valley. Master, the Night King Valley has sent a message. Elder Lu has come out. All Night King Valley have surrendered. Let us go in and meet up with Elder Lu. Got it. An elder's eyes flashed. He was a little disappointed. They wanted to hear the news of Lu Tianyo's death, but now. The few elders stood up and said, "Enter the valley." It was about time, so they didn't think too much about it. Could this be a trap? He hadn't expected this at all. They also didn't believe that the Night King Valley had the guts to do so. He brought dozens of children into the valley. Destiny welcomed them at the entrance of the valley with a smile on his face. Ha ha! Welcome, welcome, congratulations. Elder Lu has already obtained Long Fei's head. Humph! An elder snorted in disdain. I had thought that the bones of the people in the Night King Valley were so tough. I didn't expect them to be so weak. That's right. It's like a pug now. Remember, to be a dog, you have to have the awareness to be a dog. Come, call me. One of the elders stared at Heaven's mandate and shouted, "Yell, call me." A smile hung on Destiny's face as he said, all right, the Lord wants me to learn it immediately. Woof, woof, woof. It cried out on the spot. Ha ha, ha ha. Many of the Legend Palace began to laugh loudly, laughing loudly as they leaned back and forth. That elder gently slapped Destiny's face and said, truly obedient. But you aren't like a dog. You are a dog yourself, do you understand? Understood. I understand. A smile still hung on Destiny's face as he said, Sire, can you let our child go? Elder Lu is waiting for you in the Night King's Hall. Imitating a dog to bark, the people of Night King Valley had already become like this. What was there to be afraid of? Immediately, the elder ordered, release the children. There will be more dogs in the future. Ha ha! Ha ha! Everyone laughed. After the children were released, Destiny's eyes became sinister as he said, icily, kill. Chapter 2029, Two Great Perverts. Chapter 2029, Two Great Perverts Kill. With a single word, 100,000 killing intent burst out. At that moment, the woman kneeling on the ground and begging, the old man dying, and even the children that had just been released at this moment. He instantly became a killer. Heaven's mandate took the lead, and with a wave of his sleeve, a pair of iron hook gloves appeared on the back of his hand. He moved with all his strength towards the elder and instantly pierced through his throat. One hit kill. Go all out. Every assassin was going all out. If he could kill them in one strike, he definitely wouldn't use the second move. His speed was incredibly fast. It was so fast that those from the Legend Palace were still laughing and unable to react. You. The elder clutched at his spitting throat with both hands and said, Just now, I was just putting on an act with you. Heaven's mandate said coldly. What's the point of learning to bark like a dog? What did dignity count for? As an assassin, his dignity had been thrown into the sea long ago. Their world only had goals, nothing else. Therefore, Destiny's Note did not care about these things. This was also because the people from the Legend Palace didn't understand the assassins from the Night King Valley at all. A majority of the 70 Legend Palaces were injured in the short span of half a minute, and many people escaped. At the same time, many people lost their way and rushed towards the Night King Valley. Next, the Legend Palaces that were hiding everywhere immediately noticed it. They quickly gathered. Heaven's mandate immediately said, quickly, increase your speed. Don't let them gather. There were too few people in Night King Valley now. The number of people who could fight was even less. If there were enough people, Heaven's mandate would first clean up the experts of Legend Palace because there was no one around. He had succeeded at the first possible moment. But the powerhouse in Legend Palace reacted and slowly formed resistance. The situation slowly turned around, and the people of the Night King Valley started to find it difficult to hold on. The difference in power was simply too great. Half an hour later, the people who escaped from the Night King Valley also came back to kill. They can't take it anymore. They can't take it anymore. Ambushing us. We'll let you know the consequences of ambushing us. Boom, boom. It pounced on him crazily. All of the Powerhouse S were in the Middle God Realm, and all of the Night King Valley S, other than Heaven's Mandate and a few elders, were in the Lower God Realm. All of a sudden, Night King Valley quickly retreated. In this world, strength was what mattered. He had succeeded in a sneak attack. Heavensville had saved all the children. But, as long as the people of Legend Palace held their ground, their Night King Valley would definitely lose. There was no chance of winning. He had known this since a long time ago. Grand Elder, what do we do now? I can't hold on any longer. The people of the Legend Palace are too strong. Destiny's eyebrows were tightly locked together. Recalling that he had not completely written down the word life, he looked up to the sky and mumbled, "Perhaps. This must be fate." And then, Heaven's Mandate's eyes shook, and he said, "Night King Valley has never feared, nor will he lower his head to anyone." Back then, the first Night King made even the Sovereign feel helpless. Kill them all. Heaven's Mandate charged forward. Outside the valley, Li Yuanba's eyes darkened. Sounds of fighting? The Heavenly Spirit said, "Vidra, what's going on? Could it be that someone has already made a move against our boss?" Immediately, Li Yuanba's mind exploded. He did not think much, and jumped down from the flying war pet. With one step, he charged forward with a boom, just like a tank bulldozer. One step after another. The entire valley was shaking. Li Yuanba roared deeply. "Whoever moves my boss, I will overturn his ancestors." Next, just as he was about to charge out, he turned around and looked at Poison Monster. The Poison Monster turned around, intending to leave. The Holy Spirit glared at him. Ghastly, just like a pair of big eyes in a ghost prison, they stared straight at Poison Monster, who immediately said, I want to go take a piss." Just looking at him was enough to scare him to the point of peeing. The man said, "Don't run around. You know the consequences if I find out you're gone." Finished. The celestial spirit vanished in an instant. Poison Monster sat down, his entire body covered in sweat, and muttered, "Where did all these guys come from? Isn't that too scary?" He didn't dare to run anymore. He was also curious in his heart. Just what kind of person could cause these two perverts to be so worried? Could it be an even more powerful freak? Li Yuanba rushed to the entrance of the valley and saw the Legend Palace's corpse. His eyebrows tightened. "It's these dregs again." His body's strength moved. Boom! Powerful crimson-red energy was released, and just like the enlargement stroke of the undead god of war, it quickly rushed out, filling the sky with red light. The Holy Spirit said, "Damn, the King Kong has turned into a red ox. This is killing me." Bam! 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 A series of explosions sounded as Legend Palaces were flipped over one after another. "You dare touch my boss with trash like you? F***CK your grandpa." Li Yuanba raged. The three doors opened at the same time. His strength. He was like a mad bull that could not be stopped even if he wanted to. Those powerhouse in Legend Palace S could not react in time and were all sent flying by him. They smashed onto the ground, and their bodies and minds shattered. Who? Who is it that wants to touch my boss?" Li Yuanba roared. At the same time, he was also shouting loudly, "Wong Tai boss." The Heavenly Spirit did not attack. The spirit controlling Spirit Chi on his body immediately enveloped the entire valley, searching for the presence of his boss, Long Fei. There was no sign of Long Fei at all. "King Kong, are you sure boss is here?" The sky spirit frowned. In the plaza, Li Yuanba massacred in all directions, looking extremely domineering. Hearing the voice, he said, "Boss, I personally carried him into this valley. He must be here." The man asked. Then why can't I sense your presence? Li Yuanba frowned. His idea also moved, his heart immediately sinking. I can't feel the giant spirit coffin's chi either. Could it be that our boss was taken away by someone? In that instant, Li Yuanba was even more enraged, his eyes completely bloodshot. He rushed to the front of a legend palace and grabbed his collar, roaring in the air, "Tell me, who took my boss away?" The legend palace was also in the middle god realm, and his cultivation could completely suppress Li Yuanba's existence. But he could not. Being lifted into the air like a little chick by Li Yuanba, he was still completely unable to move. His body continuously trembled as he said, "And no one." As soon as he finished, Li Yuanba smashed him ruthlessly onto the ground from midair. Boom! A deep crater appeared on the ground, and the powerhouse's body exploded. His entire body was dyed with blood, and even his soul had been destroyed by Li Yuanba's power. He couldn't take it at all. Who is it? Li Yuanba raged. On the other side, people from the Night King Valley. Destiny's eyes trembled. The throat of the elders beside him started to roll, and they felt chills down their spines. Fortunately, we did not make our move in the beginning, otherwise, we're in for it. His strength was too abnormal. Chapter 2030, Sky God Arrived. Chapter 2030, Sky God Arrived. The great Vajra was too mighty. It was terrifying. The number of people on the Legend Palace's side continued to decrease, and no one dared to go up anymore. Master, this Luby is too fierce. The cultivation of the first stage of Lower God is actually erupting with the power of the middle stage of the Middle God. Our people simply cannot endure it. Hurry up and think of a way. Damn it. Seeing Li Yuanba walking over step by step, many Legend Palaces shouted, "We didn't catch Long Fei. We have no idea where he went." However, Li Yuanba did not listen. Li Yuanba shouted, "From the city of martial arts to the fairy grass valley, and from there to the Night King Valley, the people of your Legend Palace have been pursuing you relentlessly." Anger raged continuously. Isn't it just a crown prince? So what? If he got angry, not to mention the crown prince, the supreme emperor would kill him too. Li Yuanba pressed on. The heavenly spirit was unceasingly sensing Long Fei's aura. But I still can't sense it, but amongst all the auras of the Night King Valley, he sensed a very special aura. It was somewhat familiar. He was as familiar with the people around him as if they were his friends. However, from a chaos realm to the primordial war, there was only Long Fei and 8 King Kong. Who else could it be? Everyone else's souls were absorbed by the Destiny God, and no one knew where they were now. What other familiar aura was there? The Sky Spirit did not think too much about it. He had personally witnessed the Destiny God absorb the souls of Jojo, Lu Luashi, Long Family, and the others, and they were still waiting for Long Fei to save them. Immediately, he had forgotten about this aura. This aura is truly powerful. Is this an expert hidden in the Night King Valley? The Sky Spirit was shocked. This special aura was being emitted from Phoenix Emperor's body. At the same time, Jojo sensed her aura, her eyes tensed up, carrying a gloomy look in her eyes. Her target was Long Fei. Of course, if anyone wanted to make a move on her, she would kill them too. We still haven't found our boss's aura. Brother Ba, the General Assembly won't. If the people of the Legend Palace did not seem to have caught Long Fei, then Long Fei was definitely still inside the Night King Valley. If it was really like this, the Heavenly Soul would definitely be able to sense Long Fei's position. There were only 2 possibilities for him to not sense anything. One was that Long Fei was not in the Night King Valley, and the other was that he was dead. Li Yuanba immediately shouted, "That won't happen. Boss will be fine." Boom! The scarlet energy was still burning incessantly as Li Yuanba's body charged forward and landed in front of a Legend Palace. He grabbed him and bellowed, "Speak, where did my boss go?" "I don't know. I really don't know." Not waiting for him to finish, the scarlet energy on Li Yuanba's body exploded outwards. Boom! It enveloped the Legend Palace and crushed his body into a bloody mist. Those powerhouse and Legend Palace were startled once again and retreated even faster. Grand Elder, should we tell him? Tell him what to do now, and let him deal with the people from Legend Palace. Moreover, even if he finds Long Fei, he would not be able to save him. It would be better to keep him angry and take care of a few more powerhouse in Legend Palaces and see how they continue to be arrogant. Great Clan Elder, what do you think is the situation with the tomb of Night King? Is that Lu Tianyu still alive? Who cares if he's still alive? So what? He can't come out at all. And now that the last blood vein of the Night King clan are all gone, no one can activate them. A few clan elders of the Night King Valley began to whisper with each other. Heaven's Mandate watched Li Yuanba, who was massacring on the plaza. It was just as those elders had said. Long Fei was no longer saved. Even if there was an antidote, it was already useless. It had been too long. Long Fei might already be dead, and his soul and consciousness had already been stripped away. It couldn't save him. Rather than that, it would be better to let Li Yuanba kill all of those powerhouse in Legend Palace and remove the danger for them. Li Yuanba was frantically killing. The Sky Spirit had extended the aura of soul-controlling technique to a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers. Not a single aura within a radius of 1,000,000 kilometers was spared. Not a single person was spared. Even if he wanted to escape, it was also impossible to escape 1,000,000 kilometers in such a short amount of time. Even if it was 1,000,000 kilometers away, what about 10,000,000 kilometers? He continuously expanded his spiritual sense and sensed the fluctuations of energy around him. He believed that as long as Long Fei was within his perception range, he would definitely be able to find her. Suddenly, the space between his eyebrows suddenly tightened. Boom! His body descended and landed directly beside Li Yuanba, grabbing onto Li Yuanba's arm. Great Vidra, an expert is coming. That's not right. It's a super expert. That's not right. He's a super master. His aura became stronger and stronger. 1 second, he was millions of kilometers away, and in that second, he was already at the entrance of Night King Valley. Buzz! The moment it descended, a force exploded out. The entire valley began to shake. Powerhouse in Legend Palace's gaze tensed up, and a few elders immediately knelt on the ground and said in unison, "Welcome, Lord Sky God." Immediately after, all the Legend Palace disciples kneeled on the ground. The expressions of those from the Night King Valley changed drastically. The Sky God was ranked as the god within the main temple and was the general within the battleground. The combat strength wasn't calculated in billions, but in hundreds of billions. 100 billion battle strength. What kind of explosive display was this? It's over. Night King Valley is finished. The Night King Valley Elder's body was trembling. Legend Palace and the others could not take it, but now, a super god who was on par with the first generation of Night Kings, a super powerhouse. How could he resist it? Destiny's eyebrows tightened. This is destiny? Li Yuanba turned around and looked at Sky God and muttered, "You were the one who refined the mind-lost-enig poison, right? Then you must have the antidote on you." The gaze of the Sky God was filled with disdain. It was dark and cold as it lightly swept across. Looking at the great Elder's destiny of the Night King Valley, he asked, "Where is the tomb of Night King?" Destiny's heart tightened and his knees trembled uncontrollably. One sentence. He couldn't take it. This was a god. A super god. Destiny's teeth was in the air as his face paled. He shook his head and said, No, I don't know." Buzz! Sky God's eyes turned sinister. Puff! Destiny spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't bear it. Li Yuanba did not continue and bellowed angrily. "I want to ask you, where is the antidote?" While speaking, Li Yuanba released all of the spirit chi on his body and rushed forward. He's a bad-tempered man. He never submitted, he just did it. At this moment, Sky God raised his eyes and looked coldly at Li Yuanba and said indifferently, "You overestimate yourself." Die. Do you know what God is? Do you know what God is? In an instant, Tens of thousands of power shot out from Sky God's body. It formed a circular spell formation. Buzz! With a huge buzzing sound, Li Yuanba's body stopped in midair and was tightly bound by a power, unable to move in the slightest. His face turned white. The dense scarlet-red energy on his body vanished as well. One move. Crush. God is God. All the divine-level powerhouse beneath the main temple were mere ants. Only the gods who controlled 100,000 planes and occupied the position of the main temple were the true gods. A god that controlled laws. Powerhouse and Legend Palace's face was full of excitement as he shouted in unison. Lord Sky God is mighty. Lord Sky God is domineering. The people on the Night King Valley side were livid, not saying a word. Sky God was originally a super powerhouse in the first Night King's era. Once he attacked, no one in the primordial divine war would be able to stop him. No matter how strong and powerful the Lubi was, it wouldn't be a match for him, because he was a god that controlled laws. However, Li Yuanba, who was bound in midair, was only crushed. He did not die. Moreover, he had a bad temper, but before he could find Long Fei, his temper flared up even more. He roared in his heart. Gate of limit, gate of view. Open. Boom, boom. The two powerful energy gates opened, and the body suddenly sank down. When the 5 gates opened, the power would be vastly different. A scarlet energy once again gushed out from the body. Boom! Li Yuanba clenched his fists tightly. The muscles on his body resembled steel. With a furious roar, the veins on his body bulged as a powerful force broke through its bindings. Crack! Walala! The energy disk that was condensed in the sky shattered and fell to the ground. Sky God squinted his eyes. Instead of retreating, Li Yuanba advanced and bellowed loudly. Let's see who dies first then. Giant spirit thunder. On the side of his right arm, his entire right arm seemed to have transformed crazily as though it was made of steel, as layers of lightning covered it. This move, it was incomparably sharp. The entire Night King Valley was illuminated as if a miracle had happened. Everyone was dumbfounded. This big guy is too fierce. Damn, isn't this a bit too strong? Who is it? Is this the power that the lower god can unleash? What is he thinking? Do you want to compete with God? He's overestimating himself. When Sky God saw the thick power of thunder crushing down onto him, he slightly raised his eyes. He was already extremely unhappy that Li Yuanba had defeated him with a single move just now. Now, Li Yuanba did not run, but rushed down instead. They didn't even put him in their eyes. The Sky God coldly replied, "So what if you have come from hell? We still have to die." Buzz! With a hum, streams of sharp power shot out from Sky God's back. Li Yuanba did not dodge. The forehead of the Sky Spirit tightened as it cursed. This is bad. Next, the sky shook. Great ghost pulse art. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. His hands slowly sank down, and his fingers formed claws. The air continued to crack, and everywhere his body went, it was like hell. It was dead silent, without any signs of life. At this moment, Sky God released his sharp sword energy, which rapidly withered into nothingness the moment it came into contact with the Holy Spirit, and disappeared into thin air. Everyone tensed slightly. The Sky Spirit did not make a move, but the moment it did, everyone was shocked. Another freak? Who is this brat? What is his strength? How can you cancel Master Sky God's power? This was too unbelievable. Holy Spirit, Yuling Guardian Warrior. Spirit was the power of 10,000 forces. For the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, regardless of whether it was spiritual energy, essence, or anything else, they were all absorbed from the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, and he could completely control them. The Soul Master moved. Furthermore, with his inhuman, non-demon, non-ghost physique, and the power of the ghost vein art, he could easily send the divine power released by the Sky God into the air. His strength was extraordinary. Every single person in the 8 King Kong had their own unique power. Li Yuanba's giant spirit thunder came down, roaring, go eat sh*t. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Thunder filled the sky, and the sky seemed to be splitting apart. This power, the entire Night King Valley was trembling and could not bear it. Everyone looked up at the sky. At this moment, their hearts could not help but sink. Will Sky God die? He's a god. Will he be unable to withstand it? For some unknown reason, this question arose in the hearts of many people as they started to worry for him. It was because the energy released by Li Yuanba and the heavenly spirit was too strong. However, the spirit lightning lasted for 3 seconds, after which the people of Legend Palace immediately gave up on that idea, because Sky God was still standing there without moving. He was completely unharmed. It was as if there was a barrier in front of him, blocking all of Li Yuanba's strength. On the other hand, Li Yuanba was unable to hold on. The power of the giant spirit thunder began to rapidly weaken. From the lightning that covered the sky to tiny sparks, the strength of the giant spirit thunder was completely crushed. Li Yuanba was only half a meter away from Sky God. Li Yuanba looked at Sky God behind the barrier. His left fist moved and struck out with a heavy punch. The barrier did not budge. Boom! The barrier did not budge. Sky God sneered and said, "Relying on you?" Humph! He coldly snorted with disdain. At this time, as the Holy Spirit descended, the corners of its mouth curled up into a cold smile. It moved its body, and shwa. Yi Zichen moved his hands. The power of the Ghost Vein mantra was unleashed. Rotten! And then, his strength was not enough either. There was no change to the barrier. The celestial spirit's gaze darkened. Impossible! Sky God coldly laughed. A mere decaying power from hell dares to be so impudent in front of me? Do you know who I am? I am a god of the sky, a true god who controls the sky principle. His voice was like a thunderclap. While speaking, the power of the ancient code on Sky God's body moved, forming tens of thousands of killing intent. It erupted from the barrier, not giving Li Yuanba and the sky spirit any chance to react before attacking fiercely. Boom, boom, boom. After binding their bodies, they rushed into the sky and then smashed down heavily towards the ground. Rumble, rumble. With 2 loud bangs, 2 huge craters appeared on the plaza. The 2 craters were densely covered in blood, the blood that exploded from Li Yuanba and the heavenly spirit's bodies. Both of them fell at the bottom of the deep pit, their faces as pale as death. His aura was weak. Sky God's body moved slightly as he floated in mid-air. Looking at Li Yuanba and Tian Ling, who were in the deep pit, he said coldly, "Now you know what a god is, right?" Chapter 2032. We should get out. Chapter 2032. We should get out. The scene was deathly silent. A deathly silence. The surrounding people were all shocked. Finally, he understood why all the people below Main Temple were mere ants. He finally understood what a god was. Their realm of lower god, realm of middle god, realm of high god. Compared to the Main Temple's true gods, they were too weak, too weak. Just now, Sky God only used a tiny bit of the ancient code's power to easily crush Li Yuanba and the heavenly spirit. There was no chance at all. Deities were deities, an undefiable, invincible existence. What should we do? Grand Elder, what should we do now? The people of Night King Valley started to worry. After the death of Sky God's son, Long Fei was now in the midst of the tomb of Night King. Now that they could not hand over Long Fei, they could not defeat the Sky God either. There's only one outcome to this situation. Destroy. Destiny's brows furrowed. He was thinking, why did the Sky God appear? Under normal circumstances, the Main Temple would not interfere in the matters of the primordial divine war. Why would he appear to avenge his son? There was no need at all. If he had casually sent out an envoy from the Main Temple, he would have easily crushed Long Fei. Or was he here for some other reason? Heaven's mandate said solemnly, there is no other way. We will just have to leave it to fate. We are of the Night King clan, so no matter what we do, we have to be worthy of our ancestors. A few elders from the Legend Palace kneeled in front of him and said, "Master, Long Fei is inside the mountain valley. Without the mind-lostenic poison's antidote, I'm afraid the poison has already developed. Our legend palace had surrounded the Night King Valley for 3 days. I believe he must have died. Several elders wanted to curry favor with him and claim credit. However, Sky God did not care about him at all. He lifted his eyes slightly and stared at a big tree not far away. His heart shivered. The aura of the godchild? Did the godchild also send someone? They instantly reacted to where Jojo was. Jojo's soul was released by Zhan Wushuang, and he had also infused the godchild's power into it, so Sky God could immediately feel it. However, he did not reveal it. At this moment, ha ha, ha! A burst of wild laughter resounded from the deep pit, and the dense bloodstains around the deep pit seemed to have life, gathering bit by bit and returning back into Li Yuanba's body bit by bit. It wasn't just him, but the sky spirit as well. The situation was too bizarre. He couldn't understand it at all. The space between Sky God's eyebrows also trembled slightly as he softly asked, so cool. I've finally met a slightly stronger opponent. Li Yuanba stood up. His neck shook. All the bones in his body released explosive sounds. The deathly pale look on his face had disappeared, as if he was a nimble tiger. No injuries at all. He was a complete freak. Not only that, the sound of metal striking metal came from Li Yuanba's body, and he became even more powerful. His entire body seemed to have transformed. The same was true for the sky spirit. Its expression became increasingly gloomy, as if it was a malicious ghost that was about to take its life. Li Yuanba stomped his right foot, boom, landing in the air. He looked at Sky God and laughed simple-mindedly, saying, "You're really impressive. I like guys like you." The sky spirit also landed in midair. The two of them seemed to have been resurrected on the spot. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one knew that they were immortal existences, and no one knew what kind of cultivation they had experienced in the past few years in the infernal realm. This was an arduous cultivation that no one could bear. To create an immortal body. Of course, this was also because of the eternal power of the King of Hell in their bodies. The two were combined. The 8 King Kong became the 8 Great King of Hell. He stood up again. Li Yuanba looked at Sky God and said, "I'll tell you again, hand over the antidote or I'll beat your sh*t out of you." The heavenly spirit smiled sinisterly. The people of Night King Valley saw a glimmer of hope. Seems like he hasn't lost yet. Damn, who are these two people? Isn't it too strong? And it's very wild. Haha. If we can cut down Sky God, then maybe that might not be the case. That would be the calamity that will befall our Night King Valley. The Sky God had control of the battleground. If he died, the battleground would fall into chaos, and the main temple would definitely not let the Night King Valley off. When that time comes, it would not be the Sky God, but a large wave of true gods. Sky God laughed disdainfully, then said while looking at Li Yuanba, "It seems like the lesson I gave you just now wasn't enough." He also did not expect that Li Yuanba and Yu Yang would still be alive under such circumstances. However, this time he would not give them a chance. Buzz. The power behind Sky God moved. Boom! Without waiting for his energy to gather, Li Yuanba's figure disappeared and instantly appeared in front of Sky God. 6th gate, Death Gate. Open. Boom! With a loud bang, the world seemed to collapse. The strength on Li Yuanba's body was like burning flames as he punched out. The power of the Sky God had yet to be fully gathered. One punch. Crack, crack. Sky God's body retreated as his expression changed. How preposterous. The robe on his body creaked as his eyes spewed fire. He made a grasping motion with his hands. Empty, because at this moment, the heavenly spirit had already absorbed all the surrounding spiritual energy. Above Sky God's head, the heavenly spirit held up a gigantic ball of Xuanabai. "Come, eat this daddy's holy source explosion." Boom! He suddenly smashed down. It fell down like a huge spiral ball. Bang! It smashed onto the Sky God's head. Rumble! 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 Sky God dropped from the sky and smashed into the ground, creating a deep crater. When she landed beside Li Yuanba, the two of them smiled. Different from Sky God, they did not stop just like that because they knew very well who they were facing and who the god of Main Temple was. Thus, take advantage of his illness and take his life. The two of them descended vertically, transforming into two beams of light as they heavily collided into each other. Boom! Li Yuanba's fists were like a thunderstorm as it bombarded downwards. Mia said that I must beat your sh*t out of you. Bang, bang, bang. So what if I killed your son? It's your son's honor to die at the hands of my boss. You still want revenge? Come on. With just you. Li Yuanba roared crazily. The two of them crushed Sky God's body tightly in the deep pit, their fists hitting flesh. Everyone was stunned. However, what shocked them even more was, in the sky, the shadows converged. Sky God was unharmed as he coldly floated in the air, watching everything that happened in the deep pit. His eyes were icy cold to the extreme. Tomb of Night King. Long Fei said, "All right, we should get going." Chapter 2033 was just a little bit away. Chapter 2033 was just a little bit away. The power of laws was derived from the power of 100,000 planes. Those who controlled the laws were equivalent to the chief sovereigns of 100,000 planes. This kind of person, they wanted to die. It was difficult. The Sky Principle was even more extraordinary. You want to kill Sky God? It was very difficult, unless one also possessed the power of the ancient code or a power that exceeded 100,000 planes. For example, the star book that Long Fei possessed. Even if he had it, he still had to get the dragon-shaped mark's power to activate, and even then, he could only barely kill the Destiny God's body. His soul did not die. Although the rules of fate have changed hands, Long Fei was still unable to expose them. The reason was, they didn't kill it thoroughly enough. He didn't die completely enough. In the end, it was because he wasn't strong enough. Facing the loss, Li Yuanba and the Heavenly Spirit both could not contend against it, because their powers could not yet be above the power of the ancient code. The Sky God floated in the air coldly and said slightly, "Are the two of you done fighting?" At this moment, Li Yuanba and the Heavenly Spirits suddenly stopped. They felt a chill behind their backs, their fists clenched tightly, looking at the Sky God that was completely destroyed by them. They were dumbstruck. Not dead yet. Not only was he alive, the Sky God was not harmed in the slightest. Li Yuanba slowly stood up. He looked up at Sky God in the air and clenched his fists. Sky God sneered and said, "Do you know what gods are now?" Li Yuanba's eyes turned sinister. Sky God was high above, looking down at the world. He smiled at Li Yuanba. Just an ant. Unhappy. Li Yuanba was very unhappy. Pretty bad. He hated how others were acting when they were above everyone else, and the aura on his body was changing. The Sky Spirit was not in a good mood. His aura was also changing. Only, the aura on the Heavenly Spirit's body was completely different from the aura on Li Yuanba's body. Buzz! It sounded like a bell coming from the ancient world. The Sky Spirit shook, turning his face to look at Li Yuanba. His heart moved. This move? Buzz! Li Yuanba's aura suddenly changed, his entire body releasing a gold light, his eyes also becoming gold. Diamond physique. Angry Buddhavajra. Among all of the 8 King Kong, only Li Yuanba was able to withstand this move, and only his body was able to withstand the immense power of the origin. However, Li Yuanba wouldn't be able to handle this attack for long. The moment he retracted his Heavenly Spirit chi, his eyes darkened. He knew what he had to do. Seeing the changes on Li Yuanba's body, Sky God was slightly shocked. This power, he had never felt it before. Moreover, it caused him to feel slight fear in his heart. This fear arose from within his heart, and he was unable to control it. In his world, aside from facing sovereigns, there had never been this sort of fear. Sky God roared angrily. "No matter how much you change, you are still under my control." Boom! A tsunami of power burst out. The power of the Sky Principle burst out. Li Yuanba turned into a golden light. Shua. He landed in front of Sky God and moved his right fist, Shua. The pitch-black giant spirit axe landed in his hand and slashed fiercely as he shouted, "Die!" The strongest technique. Diamond physique, angry Buddha sovereign. This move, it was Li Yuanba who had broken through everything and comprehended her own source of power within the ancient world. They were the 8 heaven pillar in ancient world. Their strength could support the entire world. In this instant, Sky God's mind shook. All of them were occupied by fear. He was a deity, a true god that controlled arrays. I'm a deity. Can you injure me? Boom, boom, boom. An incomparable power of law crazily superimposed on Sky God's body like numerous mountains, forming a law defense. Li Yuanba's giant spirit axe slashed down. Layer after layer of the power of the ancient code crumbled. Sky God looked at the sky as the giant spirit axe continuously crushed down. At this moment, his heart trembled. His soul was trembling. Hundreds of thousands of years, in millions of years, he had never felt the sensation of death before. But this time, yet he felt death, an inexplicable terror, unimaginable. The 100,000 planes did not control the laws, but they did control a power that was above the laws. Main temple was also shaken. In the air, the faces of the true gods of the main temple filled with fear. If it was them, they wouldn't be able to withstand the power of the angry Buddha sovereign that Li Yuanba had exploded. This is too terrifying. 100,000 planes is beyond our control. What kind of power is it? Who knows where he came from? Oh, they were all shocked. God's mountain. The godchildren looked in the direction of the Night King Valley and muttered, "In 8 King Kong, 8 people have different physiques and different strengths. In God's martial continent, 8 people in Chaos Realm isn't that simple. To become stronger, seems like the background of the 8 of them is not as simple as the 8 King Kongs. Someone come. Go investigate the origins of these 8 people and the locations of the other 6 King Kong." "Yes, sir." One of the attendants quickly retreated. Black-robed Destiny God said, "Seems like Sky God won't be able to hold on. Even Long Fei hasn't appeared, but he can't block it. Truly a useless trash." Zhan Wushuang smiled lightly, turned his head and looked at Destiny God, then laughed. "If it was you, you too would not have been able to resist. However, Sky God is not that simple." Black-robed Destiny God's eyes turned cold. In the past, Zhan Wushuang didn't even dare to speak to him like that, but now, in his words, there was no respect for him at all. This is the world of Powerhouse. This was reality. Black-robed Destiny God's heart trembled and secretly noted it down. Zhan Wushuang did not care as he narrowed his eyes and mumbled, "Sky God, is that all you've got? You can't even beat the little lackey Luo beside Long Fei?" At this moment, the Destiny God only had one last layer of defense left. He couldn't block it. However, Li Yuanba's body suddenly sank. Time! His profound chi had been depleted, and his body couldn't take it anymore. The golden light on his body instantly faded, and his pupils returned to normal. His face turned pale. The sudden turn of events stunned Sky God. The Sky Spirit suddenly moved and landed beside Li Yuanba. Li Yuanba desperately tried to restore his King Kong physique, but his profound chi was exhausted and he couldn't use it again. Just a little more. Just a tiny bit more. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Sky God laughed out wildly. I didn't die. The smile became more and more ferocious. Now it's my turn. At this moment, the mural shattered and Long Fei walked out of the tomb of Night King S with Ziyu on his back. At this moment, on top of the big tree, Jojo's forehead twitched. He's finally appeared. Chapter 2034. Long Fei arrived. Chapter 2034. Long Fei arrived after the profound chi was exhausted. The King Kong body disappeared. Li Yuanba dropped from the sky. The heavenly spirit grabbed onto his body and started to move. However, Sky God was already angry, and it was at the point where he could not contain his anger. Just a little more. Just now, he had almost broken through his sky defense. That was the power of law. If Li Yuanba was allowed to grow, what would he become? He was a god. He was a god that was ranked within a divine class, a god that could not be looked up to. He absolutely wouldn't tolerate the survival of such a person in the world, so Li Yuanba had to die. No matter the cost, he had to die. Sky God was enraged. The sky changed. His right hand extended into the void and grabbed. A gigantic crescent moonblade was pulled out. Staring at Li Yuanba, who was falling, he bellowed, "The power of the sky, the origin of laws, rise." As soon as he finished, the power in Sky God's body was going berserk. He rushed down. At this moment, it was as if thousands of men and horses were charging down at lightning speed. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sky and the earth trembled. It was as if a layer of heavenly energy was crushing down on him. The space between his eyebrows was locked tightly as he stared at the sky. Li Yuanba said weakly, "Put me down here, I'll kill him." The heavenly spirit protected Li Yuanba behind it firmly, berated him, and said, "You'd better calm down." He was well aware of how much damage Li Yuanba's diamond body could cause to his body. Normal people could not withstand it at all, which was also why their 7 King Kongs could not release such power. The profound Qi was exhausted. Li Yuanba was currently not even comparable to an ordinary person. At this time, let alone a single move, even the pressure released by the Sky God could not withstand it. The Sky Spirit looked gloomy as it continued to absorb the spiritual energy within a radius of millions of kilometers. The spiritual energy moved with a whistling sound, and at the same time, the power of the great ghost pulse art permeated into the spiritual energy crazily. Facing the Sky God's sky principle, the heaven spirit was not confident. However, he just had to do it. The Sky Spirit roared, "Come on," Sky God sneered, and said, "You overconfident dog, I'll kill you now." "It's over. It's all over. I thought they would be able to kill me in a counterattack, but it's good now." If Sky God gets angry, the two of them definitely won't be able to hold on. "What do we do now?" "Great Elder, we, Heaven's Mandate shook his head and said, "We can't do anything." To them, the battle between Li Yuanba and the Sky God was like a battle between gods. They were only mortals. They could only look up at them from the sidelines, unable to join. This was because their strength were simply not qualified. "Ha, ha, die. I see that you two are still acting arrogantly. Before God, all of you can only tremble." The disciples of the Legend Palace were all excited. Previously, their hearts were hanging at their throats. They almost thought that the Sky God would be killed. The main temple's gods also let out long sighs. Almost. Just a bit more. The two of them cannot be left alive. The power on their bodies is not within our control, so we absolutely cannot leave such people alive. The divine God controlling the law of strength frowned. Where exactly are they from? Why is the power released outside our control? It seems like even the power of destiny is unable to bind them. Immediately send someone to investigate. What are you looking for? They're going to die soon anyway. The gods of Main Temple were also slightly worried. Because this was a world they controlled, they could not allow any power to go beyond their control. They were paragons. They would not allow any power that was above them to appear. They had to keep a firm hold on their status. Night King Valley. When the sky darkened, the power of the Sky God Sky Principle moved, completely crushing down towards the heavenly spirit. In the nick of time, there was no way to block it. The Sky Spirit did not think too much about it. Even if I can't, I still have to. Behind him was his brother. Even if he died, he would use his own body to block, his own life to block, because he was a brother. The expression on the face of the heaven spirit was extremely ferocious as it exploded the spiritual energy it had absorbed from the million-kilometer area. The power of the great ghost vein art was crushing the spiritual energy like it was dried up. However, in these 100,000 planes, the strongest power was neither spiritual energy nor divine power, but the law energy that bound these 100,000 planes. The moment the two forces clashed, buzz, a violent explosion sounded and the sky darkened. The power released by the heavenly spirit was crazily being crushed as the power of the sky, principle, surged towards him. It was incomparably strong. Sky God's expression was also particularly sinister. Powerful energy struck over and over again as he said in a heavy tone, "Ants should accept their fate. An ant should have the determination to be an ant. A mere ant, and you want to overturn the heavens." Sky God was constantly crushing down from the sky. The gigantic crescent moon blade in his hands was constantly slashing down, with each slash releasing a dense power of law. Boom, boom, boom. After a while, the sky spirit stomped on the ground, creating a deep gully in the ground. The initial offense had transformed into the current full-fledged defense, but even so, he was still unable to withstand it. Boom, boom. Cold sweat broke out from the top of her head as she frantically absorbed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, blocking in front of her. "If you have the guts, then kill me. If not, then I won't be here." Buzz, buzz, buzz. The streams of spiritual chi of heaven and earth formed defensive shields in front of the celestial spirit. They were like ice crystals that could be seen with the naked eye. Boom. The sky god suddenly dropped to the ground and retracted all of the strength in his body. He coldly looked at the huge shield of spirit energy and laughed coldly. "How can a mere defense block my power of law?" Boom! With a loud bang, the power from sky god's body exploded out like a pillar of light, striking the spirit air shield's head. Crack! Walala! The spirit air shield had completely ruptured. The sky spirit's body sank down, blood trickling out from the corner of its mouth. Li Yuanba stood up with difficulty. His body moved. He stood beside Tian Ling and shouted, "F***CK his grandmother. Let me do it." He also wanted to release the diamond body. Sky God laughed coldly. "This time, I will never give you another chance." One long, 100,000 planes, Sky Principle S, wildly gathered onto the Sky God's body. It was as if the sky was continuously pressing down. Layer after layer of power was extracted from Sky God's body, as though they were being channeled into his body. King of the Sky, the power of the Sky Principle that controlled 100,000 planes. The most powerful technique. Then the two of them will die for sure. Deities are deities. How can these ants resist them? He's simply overestimating himself. The god of Maine Temple laughed out loud, laughing at how overconfidently Yuanba and the sky spirit were. "Go to hell." Sky God released the energy he absorbed. A figure landed heavily from afar. Chapter 2035, The Terror of the Killing Principle. Chapter 2035, The Terror of the Killing Principle Die. He wanted to crush the souls of Li Yuanba and Tian Ling and make them into dust so that they wouldn't even have a chance to reincarnate. This kind of person needed to be killed thoroughly. The Jedi could not leave any hidden dangers. This was also his strongest move. He moved at full power. Li Yuanba clenched his fists tightly. His eyes did not move at all, and there was no fear on his face. The same was true for the Sky Spirit. It was as if the two of them weren't afraid of death. In fact, the corners of their mouths even had a trace of a faint smile, a strange smile. Die. To them, this was a rebirth. Die. To them, it was a power that ordinary people could not understand. They were not afraid. Bring it on. Li Yuanba let out a loud roar, looked at the huge force before him, and wanted to block a bit more for the Sky Spirit. Even if he died, he had to shoulder a bit more for his brother. Sky Spirit was the youngest in 8 King Kong. He was a King Kong, so he should have taken more responsibility. The Celestial Spirit took a step forward and said, "King Kong, don't even think about sharing the burden for me. I don't want to die an ugly death." Ha ha. The two of them laughed at the same time. Are these two crazy? He's almost dead, and he can still laugh? He looks like he's smiling on the surface, but he's probably pissing his pants because of fright, right? Ha ha. The people of Legend Palace all laughed. The high and mighty gods of the main temple also laughed. The two of them were definitely going to die. The person from the Night King Valley sighed, and Destiny muttered, "What a pity. Grand Elder, once they die, it'll be our turn. What do we do now? What's a pity? If it wasn't for them and that long fay, would our Night King Valley be like this? They should have died a long time ago, I think." Before he could finish his words, a figure heavily descended from the sky. His right hand moved, palm-shaped. With his left hand behind his back, he sent a palm up. A palm struck onto the sky principle released by the sky god, causing people to not have enough time to react. At the same time, it was too dazzling, and they were unable to see clearly who it was. No one would block the power of law. In this world, other than gods who possess laws, who could stop the power of laws and the sky god? Even a god wouldn't be that stupid. Even a god wouldn't be able to withstand such a powerful force. Even if they could, it wouldn't be easy. Sky God's brows tightened. He could not tell who it was, but he laughed coldly and said with disdain, "You're overestimating yourself. Explode for me. Rumble, rumble, rumble." The power of the Sky God's laws crazily crushed Long Fei's body. It went berserk as trillions of power of the laws charged into Long Fei's mind. His sea of consciousness and every part of his body formed an incomparably strong power of laws. Never. His body had never experienced such pain before. It was as if his body was being torn apart piece by piece. This is the power of law. Is this the damage caused by the power of law? Holy **T. It feels so good. Within the white light, the corner of Long Fei's mouth slightly curled and revealed a cold smile. "Come, then, let's see whose power of law is stronger." Boom! In that instant, Long Fei's body also exploded. Crack! The killing principle suddenly wrapped around Long Fei, and the power that rushed into his body was quickly killed. Rumble! 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 A loud sound rang out in the air, as if the two factions were engaged in a frenzied battle. Moreover, this side was brutal, bloody, and unscrupulous, as if they were devouring people. They didn't care about any consequences. They were slaughtering crazily, and every time they killed, they would become even more powerful. The Tao of Death. Laws. To kill to achieve the Tao. To comprehend the heavens to achieve the power of law. The killing principle disappeared after the first Night King disappeared, and no one in the main temple was able to grasp it, much less comprehend the true meaning of the killing array, including Queen Night herself. Many people, even God and the others, had almost forgotten about the killing principle. It had been too long. But the fear they had towards the killing principle in their hearts had never disappeared, because it was precisely the king of assassins that had single-handedly turned the tables on them back then. He still vividly remembered the scene of millions of corpses lying in wait for him. Blood flowed like a river. White bones formed mountains. Terrifying. At this moment, Sky God was startled. His heart went cold, and the scene of a million corpses lying on the ground appeared in his mind, causing his body to involuntarily tremble. He staggered back. Killing principle. He was someone who had fought alongside the first Night King, but Night King had never placed him in his eyes, and he was always being crushed by him. He wasn't a match at all. His law energy was bestowed upon him by a sovereign, while Night King's law energy was comprehended by himself. It had a completely different personality and power. Even now, Sky God would never forget the scene of being stepped on by Night King. A cold shiver ran down his spine. Sky God shouted loudly, "Bai Chi!" His voice resounded throughout the universe. Main Temple was even more shocked. "Bai Chi! Night King! He's still alive? Isn't he dead? How could he still be alive?" Killing principle, this is definitely Bai Chi's killing principle. Only he controls the killing principle, and he is also the only one who can control the power of the laws before entering the main temple. Immediately report to the sovereign. He was scared. On the faces of the main temple's gods, every single one of them revealed a look of fear, because they all knew very well just how powerful Night King, Bai Chi's killing principle, was. For millions of years, they had not known what it was like to be afraid. Now, however, they felt it. However, Sky God withdrew his power. The figure revealed itself. Those elated Night King Valley clansmen were incomparably excited, thinking that it was really Night King who had revived. When they saw the man standing there, their hearts sank and their faces changed. Boss. Be boss. Haha. Li Yuanba was the first to react. The heavenly spirit was so excited that tears were about to flow out of its eyes when it saw Long Fei. Too excited, Long Fei turned and smiled at them. Looking at his divine spirits, he said in excitement, "The Yuling guardian warrior is back." Heaven's mandate's gaze tensed up. He is Long Fei? Those people from the Legend Palace all revealed looks of shock. He is Long Fei? Long Fei. The Long Fei who killed the Crown Prince. It's not Night King by Qi. Damn, I thought he was Night King by Qi. You gave me a fright. Just a mere Long Fei. What's there to be afraid of? The other gods of Main Temple all felt relieved and said, "It's just Long Fei. Do I really think Night King has revived? It's just a mere Long Fei. He gave me a huge shock." No one took Long Fei seriously, but there was a difference. Chapter 2036, The Fatal Jojo. Chapter 2036, The Fatal Jojo, the entire world. Probably, only the godchild of the God's Mountain, Zhan Wushuang, could see how terrifying Long Fei was. God's Mountain. Zhan Wushuang's forehead tightened, and his fist started to make cracking sounds. Long Fei. Damn thing. And only he, who was aware of the fact that Long Fei was far more dangerous than Night King. The black-robed destiny god was also slightly shocked. Long Fei grasped Night King's killing principle? That's the strongest power of law so far. Zhan Wushuang was a little angry and shouted, "You don't need to remind me." Black-robed destiny god did not speak. Zhan Wushuang squinted his eyes and said coldly, "Long Fei, no matter how strong you are, you will only be my stepping stone. I have lost once in Chaos Realm and lost once in Devil Island, but I will never lose to you a third time, and a single time will be enough to make you perish beyond redemption. Bring it on. The good show I've arranged is about to begin." Zhan Wushuang laughed sinisterly. "Ha ha ha, ha ha." Night King Valley. Just when everyone was relieved on a large tree in the distance, the treetop moved slightly and an ice-cold figure dropped down at an extremely fast speed. And not a sound at all. At this time, an elder of the Legend Palace sneered, "For a mere Long Fei, who is at the first level of the middle god, leave this kind of trash to me. If you can comprehend the killing principle, then wouldn't I be Night King's father?" Ha! As soon as he finished, the elder that had spoken earlier moved his body. Shwa! Innumerable illusions appeared in the air. The figure had no physical form. Very strong. Very soon, Li Yuanba slightly shouted, "You're courting death." Long Fei did not move. Her back was facing him, and she did not even use her aura to sense him. Killing principle. He didn't rely on his eyes, nor his aura. He relied on his control over his killing intent. Anyone with killing intent or killing intent would be able to control him. All of the killing intent and killing intent were the power of the Tao. Long Fei didn't even need to look at it. However, not waiting for him to use the power of killing intent to crush him. Pucci! A crisp sword hum resounded. The elder's head fell to the ground and was instantly killed. At the same time, a voice rang out, "He is mine." The voice. The voice. When Long Fei heard this voice, his eyes suddenly opened wide and shone with a bright light. He was extremely excited. He would never forget this voice, and a peaceful and obedient face immediately appeared in his mind. He turned around. Long Fei looked over and gently smiled. "Jojo." Phoenix Emperor, Jojo. At this time, Jojo's eyes were cold. She moved as fast as lightning. Her sword pointed at the space between Long Fei's eyebrows. Her eyes filled with killing intent. There was no emotion in her gaze. Long Fei did not mind so much and did not notice anything wrong with Jojo, because he was happy. No matter how Jojo changed, to be able to see him, Long Fei felt that it was a gift from the heavens. Tian Ling and Li Yuanba were also stunned. Sister Jojo? That's not right. Her eyes are full of killing intent. Boss, be careful. She wants to kill you. Long Fei was still smiling as he said, Jojo, I missed you so much, so much. Long Fei stepped forward. It was as if he hadn't heard the voice of the heavenly spirit. Long Fei really missed them, thinking about them all the time. Thinking of Jojo, thinking of Luluashi, thinking of thousands of things, thinking of his grandfathers and Long family's brothers, thinking of every single one of them. Long Fei felt that he owed them in his heart. Now that he saw it, Long Fei's heart felt empty. He just wanted to hug Jojo. In the face of Jojo's ice-cold gaze and powerful sword energy, Long Fei had completely forgotten about one thing. It was as if he had been possessed. Boss, be careful. Boss. He's still thinking about picking up girls at this time. What is he thinking about? Ziyu muttered. Her figure slightly moved and quickly landed beside Long Fei. She pulled Long Fei's arm, shouted, and asked, What are you thinking about? Long Fei's gaze tensed up. He looked at Ziyu, who was beside him, and then looked at Jojo, who was thrusting at him with a sword. Long Fei's heart trembled as he protected Ziyu behind him. Pucci. The sword stabbed into his back, directly piercing through Long Fei's body. A snowflake floated in the air. Long Fei, even the slightest bit of defense, was useless. Boss! Boss! Brother Fei! The three of them rushed forward. Ziyu looked at the sword that had pierced her chest and asked in surprise, Why aren't you defending? Why didn't you avoid it? You. At that moment, with Long Fei protecting Ziyu behind her, her heart was slightly moved. What's the situation? How could I have been stabbed by this sword? Ha! Long Fei is really not well. The killing principle, just now, was not released by him. If it was him who released the killing principle, it's impossible that it wouldn't even be able to block this strike. Everyone was puzzled. But God's Mountains, Zhan Wushuang laughed out loud. Long Fei, how does it feel to be pierced by your beloved woman? It must be great, right? Ha ha ha. The more Long Fei suffered, the more excited he became. However, what Long Fei was suffering from was not the pain in his body, but the pain in his heart. Pucci. Pulling out the sword, Jojo's expression did not change at all as he pierced down towards his back yet again. Long Fei dodge. Boss, get out of the way. Sister Jojo, that's Brother Long Fei. That's your young master. No matter how many people shouted or how many people shouted, Jojo remained indifferent. Long Fei also did not hide, and still did not use any defense. Chi, another sword stabbed into his back, only half a centimeter away from his heart. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of blood. When Jojo took out the sword, blood was hanging from the corner of his mouth, but he still had a smile on his face as he said, Jojo, I am Long Fei. Don't you remember me? Be good and stop messing around. I'll never let you get hurt again, Long Fei said with a smile. At this time, Jojo thrust it out again. Long Fei still did not dodge. Another sword stabbed into his body. Pain. Long Fei couldn't feel it, but when he saw Jojo's ice-cold expression, his heart was in pain. Seeing that she couldn't recognize him, his heart felt as if it was being pierced by needles. There was nothing like this pain. Jojo was indifferent to it. Looking at Long Fei's expression, a voice in her mind seemed to be saying, Kill him, kill him, kill him. Jojo also did as he was told, stabbing out with his sword. Long Fei was like a puppet. When he did not move, Jojo would stab him. His chest was filled with sword wounds. Long Fei was still smiling as he slowly walked forward, one step at a time. What is he doing? Is he crazy? Ziyu wanted to pull Long Fei away, but Long Fei immediately struggled free from her grasp. There was no woman that could compare to Jojo's position in her heart, because from the moment he teleported to God's Martial Continent, Jojo had been protecting him the entire time. He was willing to do anything for her. She was like a guardian angel, and she never cared about anything. Step by step, he walked in front of Jojo, and in the end, Long Fei stood in front of him. The long sword pierced into his chest. While they were talking, Long Fei domineeringly pulled Jojo into his embrace and tightly hugged him. Chapter 2037, Counterattack. Chapter 2037, Counterattack. Jojo, it's me. I'm Long Fei. I'm your young master. Jojo, Long Fei whispered into Jojo's ear. He hugged her tightly, as if he was afraid that Jojo would suddenly leave and didn't want to lose her again. Jojo's eyes were ice cold. Even though she was being hugged like this by Long Fei, she still continued to attack Long Fei forcefully. The surrounding people were stupefied. What's going on? Who is this woman? Is this still the Long Fei who blocked the sky god's power of law? How could a woman do this to you? F***CK. Even if he's trash, I won't say anything. All sorts of mocking laughter rang out. In the whole of Night King Valley, perhaps only Li Yuanba and Tian Ling knew Jojo's identity and how important he was to Long Fei. Thus, seeing Long Fei walk forward step by step, the two of them did not feel it appropriate to stop him. However, in their hearts, they were constantly thinking, how did Jojo become like this? Long Fei was everything to Jojo. How could she become like this? God's Mountain. Zhan Wushuang laughed complacently. Does Long Fei feel good? This must feel really good, huh? Black-robed Destiny God slightly shivered. He did not know that Zhan Wushuang had refined their souls, stripped them of their memories, and turned them into cold-blooded, heartless killers. This move was truly too vicious. At the same time, she was just too beautiful. Zhan Wushuang looked at the shocked Destiny God and laughed. At that time, you didn't think of this move, right? Black-robed Destiny God said, "You're the smart one. To deal with someone like Long Fei, you should start from the people around him. Even if you can't kill him, you would make him suffer." Haha. Zhan Wushuang sneered. Either he dies, or he kills his own woman. No matter what the result is, I can't help but be happy, haha. This would be the result that Zhan Wushuang wanted. A few souls was nothing to him. He would never tire of things that could cause pain to Long Fei. Long Fei, this is just the beginning. Enjoy yourself slowly, ha ha ha. I will return everything you've given me 1,000 times, 10,000 times more. Zhan Wushuang's heart was filled with hatred whenever he thought of what had happened in Chaos Realm. He had to take revenge. Night King Valley. An elder of the Legend Palace walked to the side of the Sky God and carefully said, "Master, Long Fei is heavily injured. This chance is..." Even idiots knew that Long Fei was heavily injured. This was the best opportunity. Sky God was not stupid. He naturally knew it as well. However, he did not believe that Long Fei had grasped the killing principle and was thinking whether there were other powerhouses around. The power of the gods was constantly being released, searching for her. However, Bai Chi's aura could not be found. Immediately, Sky God's gaze turned sinister, and the imperceptibly powerful energy of the sky principle started to swirl once more. The Sky God slowly floated to midair. From above, the sky seemed to sink as well. Rumble! A loud sound was heard. Li Yuanba raised his eyes and immediately shouted out, "Boss!" At this moment, a glimmer flashed in her eyes, and she immediately said, "Boss, Sister Jojo's memories have been stripped away from her. She doesn't even know who you are. Hurry up and retreat. Otherwise, you will be killed by her." Jojo did not stop there. Moreover, her strength was very strong. How could a power that could instantly kill a middle god powerhouse be weak? Long Fei still acted like he did not hear anything. Hugging Jojo with all his might, he said, "Do you still remember Long family? Do you still remember being bullied by the steward? Do you still remember the scene of you obtaining the Phoenix blood vein in the Imperial City? Do you still remember? If her memories were stripped away, it would remind her of everything." Long Fei said quietly. Blood gushed out from his abdomen, but this pain was not even 1/10,000th of his pain. Long Fei was very clear. He was clear that Jojo had definitely sent him. She clearly knew that she did not recognize him. He also clearly knew that she was here to kill him. However, she is Jojo. The woman that Long Fei was the first to be good to him in God's martial continent. A very loving woman. No matter what she did to him, he wouldn't fight back. The sky god floated above Long Fei and laughed. Brat die. Buzz. The sky seemed to explode. The power of the sky principle was like a ferocious primordial beast rushing towards Long Fei. Every single one of these beasts carried an incomparable amount of power. Long Fei raised his eyes slightly and shouted loudly, Scram! Buzz! The moment his voice sounded, his killing intent surged to the heavens. At this moment, the killing intent on Long Fei's body formed lines of power. These powers crawled up from the ground and transformed into undead warrior-s, directly pouncing towards them. Boom! Boom! Rumble! The undead warrior killed madly. The prehistoric beasts madly rushed over. The impact of the two powers caused the entire Night King Valley to tremble. Sand and rocks flew, dust filled the sky, but could not be seen clearly. I couldn't see it clearly at all. The expression in the eyes of the god's mountains, Zhan Wushuang, turned sinister, as he, too, couldn't see clearly. He was looking through Jojo's eyes, but Jojo was also unable to see clearly now. The entire sky was covered with dust, and Long Fei was no longer in front of him. Black-robed Destiny God asked, What's the situation? Zhan Wushuang shook his head and said, It seems like Sky God has made his move. Long Fei's counterattack caused the surroundings to become a blur. He wasn't sure what had happened. Black-robed Destiny God said, Jojo is the reincarnation of Phoenix Emperor. She is only the first stage of reincarnation. It is said that Phoenix Emperor has 9 stages of reincarnation. Her soul is extremely rare. It would be a pity if she were to waste it like this. Zhan Wushuang laughed. No matter how good, can it be better than Sky God's soul? Black-robed Destiny God was slightly shocked as he said, You want to make a move against Sky God? Every single deity grasped a way to cultivate, and they even had a soul that was able to sustain themselves for 10 million years. This kind of soul was incomparably helpful in cultivating the soul controlling. Even he could train in the laws from the soul. Destiny God had never thought of using the souls of the main temple's gods to cultivate, but Zhan Wushuang's thought caused him to tremble. Zhan Wushuang smiled faintly and said, Relax. I still need your help in cultivating the soul controlling. I won't touch you. Black-robed Destiny God's mind trembled. Zhan Wushuang was no longer the Zhan Wushuang of the past. Zhan Wushuang looked at the flying sand and rocks and then smiled. I'd like to see what the hell you're trying to do. While they were talking, Zhan Wushuang's silhouette moved. Rumble. The wheel of fortune revolved. In the Night King Valley, the eyes of an unremarkable disciple from the Night King clan flashed with a trace of light. At this moment, Jojo disappeared in place. Gone. Chapter 2038, by Chi, come out. Chapter 2038, by Chi, come out. As the dust settled, Long Fei stood where he was before and disappeared. In midair, the Sky Principal's prehistoric, ferocious beast disappeared. The undead warrior that Long Fei released also disappeared. This move, it was as if they had reached a stalemate. However, Long Fei's goal was not the Sky God, but to divert Jojo away. The current Jojo was in his spatial ring. She couldn't let Jojo leave and couldn't let anyone control her anymore. Once she entered the spatial ring, Long Fei would be able to carry her by his side. Let her memories fill up again. Long Fei believed that it would definitely be possible. Moreover, no matter how strong Zhan Wushuang's divine strength was, and how strong the power of destiny was, he was unable to sense Jojo's existence. The Night King Valley regained its calm. Li Yuanbao walked forward and asked softly, Where is Sister Jojo? The Sky Spirit was shocked and said, Boss, this Sky God is a tough nut to crack. It's a little tricky. Long Fei was severely injured. The Sky God was still strong. He was not harmed in the slightest. Furthermore, he was a god. He could control the Sky Principle, so he had an inexhaustible power. Under these circumstances, How could he be an opponent? Long Fei walked up, his eyes slightly raised, and asked, Sky God? Today will be the day you die. Boom! Long Fei's aura moved. Long Fei did not bother about the ruptured wound. At this moment, other than killing in Long Fei's mind, it was also killing. Jojo's matter had provoked him, causing his heart to be filled with fury. Furthermore, if Jojo was like that, then what about the other women? Were the people from Long family? And the 14th dragon ancestor? What was their situation? All of these things felt like a burning rage in Long Fei's heart. Whether it was Zhan Wushuang or the main temple, they would all be overturned. Sky God laughed coldly and said, Brat, even if you have grasped the power of Night King by Chi's killing path, so what? How long have you been cultivating the killing principle? My Sky Principle's power has already reached peak realm. You're my opponent? You still dare to speak such shameless words and want to blow me up? Ridiculous, extremely laughable. The power of the Sky God was not limited to just this. His true strength had yet to be unleashed. Before he could finish, Long Fei disappeared and instantly flew into the air. He landed and coldly snorted and said, Then take out your strongest power and let me experience the power of the Sky Principle. Let me show you what Killing Principle is and what it is like. Long Fei. The stronger the enemy, the crazier Long Fei became. In his eyes, the Sky God was not a god. Instead, it was a glittering boss. The silent metamorphic energy value had always been useless, but this time, he was going to make the metamorphic energy value work. Kill. As soon as he said that, an endless stream of killing intent came out like the falling of the sky. Killing principle. As long as the target did not die, there was no end to it. Power of law. The soul of the law. Once it was executed, that phrase, fearless life and death. Sky God's eyes turned sinister as he said coldly, Then I'll show you the power of the Sky Principle. Buzz. Bang. Sky God suddenly disappeared. Without waiting for Long Fei's response, boom. With a heavy kick on his back, Long Fei's body flew for thousands of kilometers and crashed into a mountain. Sky God, king of the sky. He was once the fastest in the main temple, which was why he had obtained the power of the Sky Principle. Within the ruins, a voice sounded. Just this little bit of strength? Whoosh! Long Fei's voice rushed out from the rubble. Without waiting for him to fall, Sky God made another move. His speed was heaven-defying. Long Fei was simply unable to see clearly and could not sense the direction of the Sky God's attacks. Boom! Thousands of kilometers away, another mountain had collapsed. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The mountain range had been completely destroyed. It was like a fight between gods. It had turned the sky upside down and was unmanageable. Long Fei had been in a passive state the entire time, even though he had the killing principle, but just as Sky God had said, he had just comprehended his killing principle, so he had no time to cultivate. But Sky God's Sky Principle had cultivated for tens of millions of years and reached the peak realm. In comparison to the two types of laws, Long Fei was obviously not her match. However, Long Fei would never admit defeat. Long Fei always summed up how he was kicked flying again and again. To the left. Boom! Long Fei was kicked flying again. This time, he had already predicted the direction Sky God would attack. Rumble. As he flew out of the ruins, Long Fei was covered in blood. He had a sinister smile on his face as he said, From now on, I won't let you touch my clothes. Humph, Sky God sneered. Trash like you're simply being abused. Killing principle? It's useless to look at it. Why don't you give it to me? The killing principle, the strongest power of the laws. Not to mention the Sky God. Even any god in the main temple wanted to obtain it. Long Fei comprehended killing principle. If this sort of strength was extracted from his body, then he would become a law seed. As long as he cultivated well, he would be able to fuse and master it. This was what the Sky God had always wanted. Long Fei floated in midair and said, If you have the guts, come and take it. Ha! Then watch carefully. In the sky, an aura faintly stirred. Long Fei closed his eyes. In that instant, with a thought, he commanded, Behind us. His body instantly teleported, and his hands made a grasping motion. Buzz. He grabbed on a sky god's leg and laughed sinisterly. I said it before, you won't hit the corner of my clothes again. Before he could finish, Long Fei grabbed sky god's leg and smashed down fiercely from the air. Rumble. He hit the ground heavily. Poochie. Sky god spat out a mouthful of blood, his eyes turning sinister. Not waiting for him to fly up, Long Fei punched down heavily and shouted, "Lie still." Bam! His mouth was crooked from the hit. Sky god spat out another mouthful of blood. The sky god idea moved and shouted loudly, "Long Fei, is that all you have? You want to kill me with this little power? You really don't know your limits. I am a god. I am Sky God. I am the god who controls the sky principle." The sky god roared. Two heavy blows. Sky god looked to be severely injured, but, however, he was not hurt in the slightest because he was a god and ordinary strength could not hurt him at all. These are just flesh wounds. From the bright red damage that floated above his head, Long Fei could tell that it was only a 3-digit number of injuries. His attacks weren't enough. Not enough damage. Even the power of the killing principle could not do it, because Long Fei simply did not have the time to cultivate the killing principle, so he was simply unable to release the power of the killing principle. Moreover, in this kind of situation, even the blasting fist might not be effective. However, Long Fei was not worried. He had ways to kill the sky god. God, right? The sky god that controls the laws, right? He doesn't die, right? Sure. Then I'll let you know what a killing principle is. Long Fei gave a heavy shout and said angrily, "Night King Bai Qi, appear." Chapter 2039. You are the one I am waiting for, Sovereign. Chapter 2039. You are the one I am waiting for, Sovereign. I can't kill you. No. Let me give you a spanking. Just the appearance of damage is enough. The system was in hand. To an indestructible enemy? Long Fei had super awesome bodyguards. Night King Bai Qi, come out. Long Fei shouted lightly. The killing principle he had was not strong enough to kill the sky god. But he couldn't do it, but Bai Qi could. As soon as he finished, Sky God was startled, his gaze sweeping across, and said, "You're scaring me?" Bai Qi died a long time ago and became a pile of mud. Would he still appear? Brat, even if Bai Qi is here, he will not be able to kill me. Before he could finish his words, a white silhouette stood in midair. The whole Night King Valley was shocked. All the Night Royal family members of the Night King Valley kneeled on the ground. White figure, god of slaughter. Night King Bai Qi. Heaven's mandate's heart was trembling. Every single person from a Night King clan was trembling. Ziyu's face was filled with excitement. The first Night King. The powerhouse that was once named after the god. Night King Valley. This will cause yet another commotion in the hundreds of thousands of planes. Father, did you see that? Ziyu was indescribably excited. The expressions of those from the Legend Palace all changed drastically. The instant Bai Qi appeared, his killing intent soared to the skies. Their hearts were unable to bear the pressure that was exuding from him. It was just like a hopeless situation deep in the heart. They had never seen Night King, nor felt the power of the killing principle. However, now they all felt it. Each and every one of them could not help but kneel on the ground in unbearable pain. It's really Night King. It's really him. He's not dead yet. The expressions of the main temple's gods changed drastically. In his mind, the scene of Night King looking down on the world while standing on top of the corpse mountain could not help but make him tremble. Night King represented the god of slaughter. It represented death. Back then in the battleground, his strength was heaven-defying. Besides the martial god, he viewed everyone else as invincible existences. He's still alive? That's not right. The center of Zhang Wushuang's brows tightened as he shook his head. I can't feel his fate wheel. He's already dead, and that white shadow is only an illusion produced by his soul. Soon, Zhang Wushuang knew that it was only the Night King's shadow. Zhang Wushuang asked, "Back then, why did Night King not choose to enter the main temple?" No one would miss the chance to be part of the divine class and enjoy an endless lifespan. Why would he choose to stay in the mortal world? This question was like a mystery. Even sovereigns didn't have an answer. No one would be that foolish to give up their limitless lifespan and supreme authority, the divine throne. Why was Bai Qi here? Black robe, destiny, God shook his head. This is a mystery. Perhaps only he himself knows about it. Zhang Wushuang withdrew his gaze, looked into the distance, and muttered to himself. It can't be that he's waiting for Long Fei's appearance. It was just a casual comment. But Zhang Wushuang's heart suddenly shook, and his eyes turned sinister. No matter what it was, as long as they stood on the same side as Long Fei, they would all die. No matter what Night King or King Kong, there would only be one outcome. Die. Night King Valley. Sky God's face turned ugly. Back then, he was completely tortured to death by the Night King and had no chance to resist. Bai Qi looked at him coldly and said, "Was it useless of you to say I was here just now?" Sky God's expression was somewhat awkward as he said, "Yes, I'm no longer the me of the past. In the past, when you grasped the power of the laws, I was only a high god. Now, I also control the power of laws, and I have the protection of a sovereign. Even if you come, what can you do to me?" Very tough. The corner of Long Fei's mouth twitched, and he said, "Don't F***ck off with him. Kill him. Don't talk nonsense. Let's talk after it explodes." It was also at this moment. Just as he finished speaking, Bai Qi's figure disappeared. Next, Chua, tens of thousands of murderous aura visible to the naked, I directly pierced into Sky God's body. Boom, boom, boom. Waves of thunderous roars resounded, and bright red numbers of damaged figures continuously appeared above Sky God's head. All of them were a string of long numbers. The damage was off the charts. Long Fei's heart skipped a beat. Damn, this is the real killing principle. Compared to him, the power of law that I just released is like a small tadpole. It was really valiant. Half a second. The billions of HP on top of Sky God's head was instantly reduced by half. This damage. The dark clouds were incomparable. Sky God also had a stupefied expression. He didn't even have the chance to retaliate. Not in the past. Still none at all. His Sky Principle was cultivating, and Bai Qi's killing principle did not stop either. Bai Qi replied coldly, "I used to be able to step on your head. Now I can do the same. Do you understand?" Sky God's eyes darkened as he said, "Bai Qi, I am a member of the main temple and also a guardian of the laws below the sovereign. You dare to kill me? Main temple will not let you go, and even more so, the god will not let you go." Every god in the main temple was a guardian of law. They controlled the laws of 100,000 planes. Anyone dying meant the collapse of a law. Every 100,000 planes were in chaos. F***ck. I hate threats. Kill him. Long Fei shouted. He cannot wait any longer. Last time, Destiny God exposed a god's holy sword. There was no meaning in it at all. This time, he had to make a huge scene. Long Fei's strength cannot do it. However, the power of Bai Qi's killing principle could kill Sky God more thoroughly. Bai Qi replied, "As you command." Yes. The meaning of these two words shocked everyone present. Bai Qi was Long Fei's subordinate. Was he his subordinate? Otherwise, why would he use the word obey? The faces of those people from the Night King Valley turned green, cold sweat trickling down their backs. Luckily, they did not do anything to Long Fei. Otherwise, they would not even know how they died. The Sky God shouted, "Bai Qi, you dare! Long Fei, if you kill me, you will die a horrible death. You dare oppose the main temple? Do you want to die for sure?" Sky God roared. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted and said, "It's not that I want to oppose the main temple. It's that you guys are against me, your father. Come, then let's see who kills who first." "Kill them all," Long Fei roared. The Destiny God had made him unhappy. The main temple had made him unhappy, and the Sovereign King had made him unhappy as well. It was they who provoked Long Fei first. Then you can't blame him. Bai Qi moved, the power of the killing principle congealing into a killing sword. Sky God's face turned pale white. His body trembled and his voice trembled. He was very clear in his heart about the power of this sword. Save me, Lord God, save me. Rumble. The sky split open. A huge shadow of mane, God, broke through the air. Long Fei grinned and laughed, saying, I am waiting for you. The idea moved. The call system was activated. Sky Emperor, get out here. F***CK this god of war. Chapter 2040. The Sovereign is about to explode. Chapter 2040. The Sovereign is about to explode. When he was killing the Destiny God, the Sovereign appeared. Would he not appear when he was killing the Sky God? Since he liked to appear, then let's do it together. Thus, Long Fei had already thought about it. The sky split open as the shadow of Main God appeared. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly, revealing an excited expression. This time, you F***king can forget about escaping. Sky Emperor, kill him for me. The summoning power moved. On the other side of the sky, a giant figure descended from the sparkling divine light. The scene was like, he was like the Jade Emperor. He was dressed in white, and his entire body emitted an aura of power that looked down on everything. Extremely powerful. This was a call from the system. It lasted for 10 minutes. Everyone raised their heads to look at the sky. On one side was the shadow of Main God, and on the other was the heavenly emperor that they had never seen before. Shadow of Main God shivered. Long Fei grinned. Haven't you seen it before? Long Fei, this is the primordial war god, one of the 100,000 planes that I have ruled over. No one can escape from me, not even the powerhouse from the other realms. He was the ruler of 100,000 planes. He was a ruler maker of the 100,000 planes. He controlled everything. No matter how strong a person was, they would still be restricted by the law that he set down. This was the chief sovereign. Sky God laughed out loud and said, Long Fei, did you hear that? Fighting with Lord God? You're not qualified, huh? Long Fei laughed coldly and said, Then I'll let you know what qualifications are today. Celestial Emperor. Kill them all. As soon as the order was given, the massive shadow of the Celestial Emperor moved. At the same time, Long Fei looked at Sky God in disdain. Is this the end? Bai Qi, kill him. Bai Qi followed suit. Long Fei stood in place, looking at the sky, and thought to himself, no matter whether I kill them or not, today one will explode, and no one can stop me. The Celestial Emperor made a move. It was like pulling apart rotten weeds. Shadow of Main God was also furious. His eyes turned sinister as his anger soared. Last time, Long Fei did not dare to make a move on him. But this time, Long Fei made a move on him directly, and he was very unhappy. He was the Ji Zun of the 100,000 planes. If he dared to make a move on him, it would be challenging his dignity. 100,000 planes. He could not allow such a person to remain in his world. Absolutely not. All rights of heaven, law binding, except for me. The sovereign roared savagely, and from behind him, more and more law-binding powers exploded forth, as though hundreds of millions of thin lines were intertwining with the Celestial Emperor. Furthermore, it was impossible to avoid the power of the lawbind. The entire 100,000 planes is filled with the power of Sovereign. The main thing is that since you are in his world, you cannot avoid it. This was also the power that the mysterious man controlled. If it's the real face, then unimaginably powerful. Boom! With an explosive sound, the Celestial Emperor was instantly bound. Long Fei's heart shivered, and he thought to himself, Damn, is the Heavenly Emperor such a dish? Sky Emperor's name was too frightening. However, Long Fei did not know how strong he was. Perhaps he was only called the Heavenly Emperor, not the Emperor who controlled the heavens. Long Fei's heart slightly tightened, and he thought to himself, Don't be fooling around with me, system. The shadow of Main God angrily rebuked. In my world, even the primordial powerhouse has to kneel down to me. Who could be disobedient? Long Fei, I gave you a chance. I made you into a divine child, made you into a divine class, and made you the controller of the main temple. But yet you do not know what is good for you, killed the destiny god, and restrained your emotions. Do you think I will be afraid of you? The sovereign's voice echoed throughout 100,000 planes. Boom, boom, boom. Be it the main temple or the legend palace, they were all shaken. They never thought that Long Fei had rejected the offer of the godchild. The most shocked and displeased was the god's mountain's Zhan Wushuang. So, Zhan Wushuang clenched his fists tightly, his teeth chattering loudly, extremely unhappily. So that's why he gave me the things he didn't want. Zhan Wushuang bellowed. At this moment, the power of defense law and the power of destiny both burst forth, forming a violent explosion. Anger soared. It was as if Zhan Wushuang had humiliated Zhan Wushuang once. The feeling drove him crazy. He had thought that he was the godchild's chosen one, but it was something that Long Fei did not want. Zhan Wushuang looked up into the sky, at the gigantic shadow of main god. His eyes slowly squinted, his killing intent getting stronger. Black-robed destiny god smiled slightly. Night King Valley. Long Fei laughed. Godchild is nothing. I'm not going to be a godchild, but the ruler of 100,000 planes. As soon as he finished, Shadow of Main God roared, impudent. Long Fei bellowed. This daddy is being too presumptuous. What are you talking about? The idea moved. Titan King moved the star book. Long Fei followed along the idea as they moved, channeling an incomparably strong energy. At this moment, the heavenly emperor that was bound by the laws suddenly broke through his restraints, instantly disappearing into the void. Rumble. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, a layer of sky came crashing down. Heavens! A layer of sky acted as a weapon and a heavy bombardment occurred. This move was also an unavoidable one. He was the celestial emperor. In his world, he also controlled everything. Shadow of Main God raised both his eyes as his heart trembled. This is my world. All the rules are set by me. I don't care who you are. Don't even think about harming me. Boom, boom, boom. His strength was like a pillar as it rumbled in the sky. However, it was completely useless. His power was completely absorbed by the sky. Layer upon layer of critical hits. Layer after layer. Shadow of Main God felt an endless amount of pressure and was overwhelmed with shock. This was his world. Before he broke the rules, he was invincible. But now, his strength, however, was unable to break through the heavens. Because this sky was not the sky of the 100,000 planes. The heavenly emperor said, "A rule maker? I'm still. As for those overlords who control the heavenly Tao, who do you think you are?" Rumble. He pushed with all his might. The sky split open as a powerful attack was launched. Shadow of Main God tried his best to resist, but he couldn't stop it. The gigantic shadow was constantly being crushed. The sovereign roared angrily, his body exploding with one wave of power after another. However, his shadow continued to compress. Crack! He couldn't hold on any longer. Long Fei was incomparably excited. Seeing the shadow of Main God constantly shrinking and cracking, his entire body seemed as if he had been injected with chicken blood. His eyes flashed with a bright light. Explode, explode. It's about to explode, huh? A sovereign was about to explode. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.